happy Friday. Welcome to our Friday Witchy Hangout. We do this every single Friday. We ask a juicy question of the universe and we blend and we mix our energies together. If I look strange, we were trying to figure out some camera stuff because it wasn't working the same way. So I think it actually looks somewhat normal. So just forget I even said anything.
Except immediately here, we're having lagging issues with the stuttering of the video.
Okay. Can I keep going though?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. Sorry, we were trying to make sure everything was good, but such is life. So today we have a very juicy question that we are asking, and it is, what do they wish that they could say to you? And I always like to point out the nuances of like the way that I'm posing the question to the universe, because what they wish that they could say is not necessarily what they would say to you if they were standing in front of you, because there could be barriers or obstacles to them saying what they want to say that's not necessarily them not being able to talk with you or maybe speak to you like in private or something like that. So we're going to try to get to the heart of what this person would say to you if they could. But real quick, some announcements. If you guys are on Patreon, my energy was a little bit off this week, so I didn't do our Patreon exclusive because usually we do that like in the middle of the month. So tomorrow we're going to have the From the Vault reading go live, and then next week we will do the Evil Eye, who's hating you and why, which I don't know, maybe goes hand in hand with this reading for some of you. I like to just trust the process and, trust my energy, and maybe there's a reason that it works out better this way, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. And also really quickly, before we get into this, I just wanted to say this really fast. Like, I just wanted to say my piece on something. Those of you who are on Patreon will already kind of know this. I, for some reason, have just been like really interested and deep diving into like mother-son relationships, and especially like the toxic boy moms and like the moms who kind of cross weird boundaries with their sons. And apparently this is kind of like a phenomenon. This might sound so random and out there, but there's actually like quite a bit of like work that psychologists have done on this. And it's really been opening my mind to why people are the way that they are. And it made me feel like really bad, because I try to be a person who holds like compassion, but like sometimes I go really hard on these guys where I'm like, what an asshole, what a jerk. And I want you to know that I do stand by that, because I'm a Gemini and I have this like yes and energy. And I've talked to you guys through the way that I work towards forgiveness, because for me, it's like I have to try to understand something. And if I can understand it, like it's not saying that it's okay, like that it's an okay way to be. And I don't ever advocate for like self-abandoning in that way, but then I can kind of work my way towards compassion and then some kind of like reconciliation or forgiveness. And I feel like I've kind of done that with the masculine energy that I've been picking up on. Again, not in any way excusing their behavior, but just realizing that that there's traumas in the world, like basically these mom relationships that kind of they call it like covert incest, like that emotionally kind of cross boundaries, or even like physically maybe the lines are blurred. That can actually lead to a lot of like schmegs addiction issues, and like where men are really squirrely around commitment, and not just men. This can happen like with women. If it's with their moms, like sometimes it shows up as like eating issues and stuff, but like they can have that with their dads too. So it all kind of like clicked together where I was like, okay, these people were victims first. And sometimes like I go very hard on it, but I also just want to say that I feel like that's a part of, I want to say our, grieving process, because anger is a part of the grieving process. And so many people who have been through trauma, because even though this person has like gone through what they've gone through and you can understand like where it kind of came from, doesn't mean that you weren't hurt in the process. But anger is a part of that. And so many of us are divorced from our anger, especially women. Well, I don't know if especially women. I just know like what I've gone through, and like a lot of the people that I have had like these kind of conversations with have been women. So I know that like our society says that femininity can like, I don't know, a lot of like complex trauma systems, family systems, or like cults and religions and things, they kind of divorce us from our anger. So I still feel like everything that happens in tarot is like very much a process. And I think like even part of the message sometimes is like the way that I'm connecting to the emotion, and it's okay to like see the anger come out, and then also to be able to kind of pull it back and like round it out. So like I said, I'm a very process oriented person, and I just felt like I needed to say that I feel like I've sort of made some progress here, like kind of coming full circle. Again, it's still not okay, and they're adults now and they need to be working through themselves. It's not okay to cheat. It's not okay to harm people, or if your way of getting around it is like through manipulating and stuff, that's still not okay. But it was just kind of like, I really like had some real epiphanies in this last week, and it's really engendered a lot of empathy. We all have our own like things to go through, and I wanted to say that and hold both together in that kind of Gemini way of this, like, yes, and like, yes, this is like really, really tough. And I can actually see how this is like shaped up, and maybe it's a little more complicated than you just being an asshole. And that's the last thing that I want to point out is that, like I like psychology, genuinely. I'm very interested in it. I have a degree, bachelor's degree in psychology, but, and so I know I've been told, that everybody goes through their own process, right? And even like the spiritual journey says that everybody's fighting a battle that you know nothing about, like always be kind and compassionate. And I feel like I was doing that for a long time. And then like being confronted with this energy, because I don't like cheaters. I don't like anything that like schmegully harms people, because it just rocks you straight to your core. And that's what I pick up on like in this energy a lot. And it does particularly like grind for me. Like that's the thing where it's like, ugh, like if I could eradicate one thing from the world, it would be that. But I forgot what I was going to say there, but I just, I don't know. I feel like it's just, oh, I know what I was going to say, that with the psychology stuff, like I've been told that. And I think it's so important to show this side of like being a spiritual seeker, because all of us know the right answers. And what I feel like tarot and like reading y'all's cards and like tapping into this situation that feels very visceral to me, it's, I think, allowed me to really explore and see that just because you know the right answers doesn't mean that you still don't have these emotions that you need to be honest with. And it's okay to have like your full human experience and to say like, look, this hurt me and this was like not okay. And to hold both of them and not to just, okay, well, I know that everybody's going through an experience, so I'm not allowed to explore mine. Like that's not the purpose of it. And that's what I really wanted to get out there. And I just felt called to say that. Sorry that this was long at the beginning, but sometimes I feel like I got to tone a little bit and just, so I'm sorry to anybody that I hurt. Like if I've used like very critical or harsh language, I'm going to try to be better about that and like work in my understanding of things a little bit more. Okay. So with that being said, our question today is, if some of you are wondering what I would have said, that's what I would have said, I guess. But what do they wish they could say? That's what I wish I could say. So what do they wish they could say? Okay. So we do have an anchor card. Oh, and also we're reading our book at the end, where the general messages section. So if you hear your message and you want to dip out for a while and you're interested in the book, we're reading chapter 2 with Codependent No More. So, okay. So the anchor card is not one of the piles, but it's a shared energy that goes into all of the piles. And I feel like we read the cards together. So I like to give you a good look at that, and you can experience whatever it is you're experiencing. But the anchor card is the mask. And we'll throw that up there. So the bottom ones are your choices. The first one, that's pile number 1 is the Shapeshifter. Pile number 2 is the Mentor. And pile number 3 is the Gem. So I'll just put that up there. And if you haven't already been drawn into your piles, now is a good time to do that. Even if you have, now's a good time to just, we like to break all the rules of the internet, take a breath, sit in silence, allow our energy to kind of drop below all the hustle and the bustle and the noise, and just really connect into that center space that is always there, constant, that inner observer. All right. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and be drawn into whatever pile or multiple piles you are drawn into. Oh, hello. Yes. All right. I'm just going to leave this up here for a second. I'm going to have a drink, and then we'll go to pile number 1. I feel like we should compassion real quick. Compassion. Leo gang. Dated 2 mama's boys whose moms were inherently jealous of my place with their son. Yes. Mm-hmm. All that, like, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you're interested in any of the videos, I think I've shared like 3 of them over on Patreon, and you don't have to be a paying patron member to view the videos that I just share from other people's channels, and they're over there if you're curious what we're talking about with the mama's boys, the toxic stuff. Okay. So, pile number 1. Pile number 1. Here we go. Okay. I just looked down and saw this card I'm intentionally holding back. And I am actually getting that vibe here. Oh, wait, hold on. What does it say? Oh, look, I feel a connection to you that I can't explain. Reverse Uno. Interesting. Okay, so I am feeling this person holding back. Like, notice you can't see, like, the mouth on this person here. Okay, so the first thing that I feel like this person wishes that they could say is, I can see you. Or I'm hearing like, okay, I can see you. I'm watching you. I can see you. You can see me. So I feel like all of those are kind of like a combined energy here, because I feel like you actually can see this person. I don't usually get a good vibe off of this card. I got to be honest with you. And so I feel like this person is a bit of a shapeshifter. They've worn some kind of a mask here, and they're kind of windy, like a snake is windy. And there is like kind of a sexual energy coming off of this. I feel like this is somebody that you've had a close association with, or that you would assume that the association is very close, or this is like some kind of schmegsual connection where there's like sexy energy between the two of you, or the two of you had that kind of a relationship here. Or it could even just be vibes, because again, like I'm kind of getting that. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm kind of getting all of that. So again, for those of you with like the toxic boy mom thing, that's part of the boundaries, is mom like throwing off kind of romantic partner vibes towards their son instead of like a motherly love. And so it could be this, or it could be, again, like some kind of schmegsual energy here. But I feel like this person feels exposed. I feel like in some way you've like ripped down their mask, and you might not have known that you've done this, or you might not have intended to do this, but I feel like in some way you can see this person, at least like a little bit of this person, like their true authentic self, which I think freaks this person out. I just heard trapped, like I feel scared and I feel trapped. I do think this person, okay, no, that's a bit of the manipulation that's coming in, because I think that's part of what they wish that they could say to you is, I feel like trapped behind this mask energy. I will say I think that there's a gradient for this pile, because for some of you, I feel like this is like a full-blown narcissist where they're very egotistical, they're very selfish, and this person has like gaslit you, and they have some kind of like this person's really fighting me is what's crazy. And actually I have notes here, and I'm actually going to pull this up because I started channeling for this last night, like just random stuff. There could have been something here about this person that you saw, or they said to you, or it was revealed and you weren't ready, or it wasn't like a time when you were expecting for something here to be revealed, and it may have been revealed by accident. Like they may not have, I just heard mask slip. They may not have realized that the mask kind of slipped here. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I have these notes. So I had my phone, I actually printed this out on my computer, and I just was like, okay, right before bed, it started like all coming through, and I just like typed it all out just to like kind of review it when I woke up. And I was like, I think this is pile number 1. And then I like printed it out, and that was just spirit looking out, because again, this person is kind of squirrely now. They're shifting their energy, kind of like a snake. You know, snake has that like winder motion. So yeah, I wrote hidden enemy here on this. And like I said, there's a gradient here to this person where there is, at least at the very least, there's some kind of aspect here to this person that is a hidden enemy to you. Like, I'm not saying that there's not love here with this person, but I feel like this is a very selfish kind of love. It's a love that's built on control. And I think that's because this person's very vulnerable in some way. Okay, they just kind of like resigned to this. And I feel like that's what they would really want to say, is they're sort of resigned to this because this person feels exposed, and they feel like they can't really get around you seeing them, but they're really fighting this. And this person is maybe energetically capable or magically capable, but they're windy. This person kind of like can always shift, and I feel like they're really good. This is a person who I think is very good at managing attention. Notice all the distractions that are like happening around me. Like, I just started hearing a bunch of little noises, and I'm not letting it pull my focus. So I think this person's maybe trying to distract you. They're trying to take your mind off of it because you've clocked something here. and you're aware of it, and they seem to know that you're aware of it, and like I said, they feel exposed. And so I think this is, as a person who's wishing that things could go back to the way that they were, I think this person wants to say, I just heard I love you, I'm sorry. So maybe this person wants to say, I love you. Oh, okay, I just heard that song from Gracie Abrams, I love you, I'm sorry. That's just the way life goes. So I think this person wants to say, I think they want to focus on a certain thing that you've caught them out on, but you've uncovered something deeper, some kind of like pattern of behavior here. The shifty, did you hear that? That's Luna. So that's the moon, my little moon cat. So this is like feelings and emotions. So I think this person wants to have like an emotional, like that, like she was like, and then have you come running. They want to play out like some kind of same pattern. I think that there's something here with this person in vulnerability. So they either want to do that and have you come running, or they want to say the same old thing that they could always say to you and kind of like reel you back in. Again, I love you, I'm sorry. But then also like throwing out there, that's just the way life goes. They want to excuse this with some kind of like broad general platitude that we all do understand in our own life. Like, well, that's just the way life goes, and that's something that you would say to somebody when things just it doesn't go their way and it's outside of their control. But this is a person who conflates those kinds of things. The things that are in their control and the things that are not in their control. I just heard the word critical. So this is a person who I think may have preyed upon you in saying like, you shouldn't be so critical, but I'm hearing Tim Fletcher in my mind. And actually, I think if I remember this, I'm going to try to remember this, burn into my brain, and try to remind me, especially if you are on Patreon. I want to share over there this Tim Fletcher video that I feel like is relevant, because it's some kind of video where he talks about the lies that people tell themselves and like kind of believe in their own brain in order to stay in abusive or manipulative situations that are not actually in their long-term best interest. And he talks about leaving toxic relationships, and when you're kind of like working that out, that a lot of people do that from their limbic brain, like from this fear-based self and like whatever's like, the next step. So it's like, well, then I would be on my own. And it's like, well, it would be hard in the short term, but then it would very quickly like get better, and it would be better for everybody like in the long run. But just that like initial break. So I want to try to remember that. Again, this person's like kind of, they're really fighting me. They're trying to control the frame. That's what this person's trying to do. And they're trying to soften the way that you are looking at them, because, and they want to control the frame. I love you, I'm sorry. And I do think this person may well have some love for you here, especially if you feel like this person's not full blown in some way and you feel that they're kind of capable of it. But this manipulative, and I do think that this manipulation comes from a place of genuine vulnerability, but narcissism, that's the root of narcissism, is shame and vulnerability and low self-esteem. That is like at the core of it. And I feel like this person is genuinely vulnerable in some way, and that's why they seek to kind of control. And I feel like this is a person where in love, like in their one-to-one relationships, especially, well, in their relationships in general, that's the only thing that makes them feel like calm is by trying to control you, because again, they feel vulnerable in some way. This is also a person who may use, there's a real schmegzual energy here. So they may use schmegs or like schmegzual energy to kind of control people, and maybe even to kind of blind people, to kind of throw them off, even if it's inappropriate schmegzual energy. They might use it to send you into a blind rage, for instance. They'll hit on your sister at the Christmas party, or again, this could be a toxic mother that like really kind of warps the boundaries, and she's trying to make her husband impotent by exalting the son and making the son feel more like a boyfriend to rival his dad. It's so even if it's inappropriate schmegzual energy, because innately this person sort of understands the power of that, because it shuts off the brain, is what I'm getting. And also, like, I heard this dad, this was on I'm not on TikTok, but I watched the most TikTok videos that a person can watch without actually being on TikTok. But there was this dad, and he was saying the talk that he gave to his 15-year-old daughter about like all the life things that he felt like she needed to know as she was like on the verge of adulthood. And he said the last thing that he added was about love, that and he used the example of that woman who was in Texas, and she drove all the way to Florida, and she wore that diaper. And remember this? And she was an astronaut. I think they were all astronauts. And because she was trying to take out her competition. And what he said to his daughter was, see, this is you know how smart you have to be an astronaut? And this is what love does to people like that. you know, because you're a smart person and you know that you're throwing your life away. Like if logic was in control there, but that's what kind of being on the drug of love does. So I feel like this person finds it utilitarian, the passion energy and like the love energy, because I just heard arrests development, and it like kind of, allows them to kind of like snake around. And so this person has kind of like co-opted the limbic brain, like that fear and the animalistic kind of response in others. And some way, somehow, I feel like, depending on who this person is, but I feel like they've maybe trained you, they've kind of gaslit you into thinking that they have control, or giving them more control and forgiving them in some kind of way where you think, that's what Tim Fletcher explains in that video that I think it's that one that I want to share, where he says, one mistake that people make in leaving these kinds of relationships is thinking that, oh, well, who they were in the beginning is who they really are. When he says, actually, as you move along with somebody and when you see them in stressful situations and, that's more likely who that person really actually is. But when that person sees you kind of moving away, they can put on the fake persona again in order to really back in. And that's that Hoover attempt. But over time, that their inclination to do that, their ability to do that, the energy that they have to kind of throw that Hail Mary, it lessens and lessens and lessens. And so it can be a long time, especially like if you're kind of holding yourself in the denial of it all, it can make you realize like very much later, like, well, I guess this was who you were all along. And then you can feel really cheated and really like you threw a lot of time away on this person. So they wish that they could say what they could say before to kind of control you and keep you close and to play the game again. And I feel like the game for this person is their facade. And that's, again, it's like the puff off the cigarette. That's what makes them feel in control. So I feel like Spirit is kind of trying to get through to this person. And for some of you, I do think that there is love here, to the extent that this person can love. But for others of you, I mean, there's just so much selfishness mixed into it. This isn't the kind of love that says, I love you. That's another thing that Tim Fletcher says in the video that I'm thinking about, because he talks about like ranking love, where I guess he worked with a lot of parents who would, back in the day, he's an older gentleman now, and he said he would work with a lot of parents who would like get their kids taken away by the legal system because they were on like DRUGS or something like that. And so he said, they would always say like, I love my kids so much. I would never like hurt my kids or anything like that on purpose. And he said what he would try to help them understand is that they do love their kids. But what their kids see is that they don't love them more than DRUGS. They see you always picking that over them, or your boyfriend over them, or some kind of toxic, addictive like situation over them. So you might love them, but they never went out. That it doesn't ever mean that you're going to change your behavior and you actually restrict yourself in order to like love somebody. And I feel like this person kind of doesn't do that. I also think that there's a bit of a thrill. It is like a sadistic kind of thrill in undermining you. And not being seen doing it, like doing it from behind the mask, where I feel like this person kind of pretends to be supportive, or they pretend to love you or have your back, and they give you poisonous advice. They poison the well. They give you I'm getting that they have some kind of poisoned frame. They like to control the frame, where it's maybe mostly true, but then there's just that little bit at the end to try to control your decision making, to wrangle that in and to kind of and make you think that you made the decision or something like that. And they tap into some kind of conditioning that they know you have. And it's maybe a conditioning around forgiveness. For some of you, it's a conditioning around femininity. That's another thing that I feel like I just want to like shout from the rooftops is that feminine energy, and certainly not divine feminine energy. What is it, right? It's the maiden, the mother, and the crone. But you hear so much toxic messaging in our world, and especially coming from the red pill idiots, that divine feminine energy is performing maidenhood for the entirety of your life instead of moving into a mother phase and a crone phase. Whether or not you have kids, there's a mother kind of phase of, just dropping into that lower register. I don't know if the readings come out yet, but there's a reading where I was explaining about Gilmore Girls and like Lorelai Gilmore and how she had a child at 16, so she was kind of stuck in this arrested development, I think maybe around like 16 years old. But there was a scene where she's talking with the headmaster and she's trying to advocate for her daughter. And she was absolutely in the right, where just because they're this posh school and there's high academic standards, when a kid is 16 years old and they are uprooting their entire life in the middle of a school year, you cut them some slack, like there's a line between tough and crazy and you're flirting with it, basically is what she was trying to say. But she was so ineffective as a communicator because she was speaking like a young girl instead of a mother who needs to be advocating for a life that she chose to bring into the world. And to do that and to not be able to advocate is neglect and abandonment, So I feel like this person maybe keeps you in a state of that arrested maidenhood or something, in order to, and then they want to play the valiant hero or something, but, and they don't encourage you to be critical. Okay, so that's another thing that I was trying to point out is critical. And again, I think this is, I think it's all one, I don't know. I love Tim Fletcher. I watch a lot of his stuff. So it might be multiple videos that like I'm kind of getting this from. But he talks about the difference of like being critical where, you should be critical, and being critical is healthy in relationships. And he gives the example of a car. Like if you're going to buy a car, you evaluate the car, you go over it because you're going to expend energy, money, resources on that car you want it to run. And it's irresponsible if you don't you're self-abandoning. If you don't like have that car looked at or really look at it yourself and evaluate, okay, I'm going to give you this amount. Does this make sense? Is this thing going to run? And if it's not, does it get me like as far as I need, you would never not do that when it comes to a car, but when whoever we're in a relationship with, that's going to have such a profound impact on your life. And if you have any kids, their lives, and you're responsible for them, they're your wards, or any kids that you might bring into the world and your friends and family that you're going to have this person around, like it is responsible to accurately critique. And he says that actually this is something that he recommends that people, that's like, when they say like, well, what's a red flag? And he said, well, you should evaluate your partners for delusionability. Like when they look at life, like, are they accurate? Like, do you agree with the way that they're kind of seeing life? Because if not, that is a huge red flag, because that delusion, even if it seems like a little bit of a delusion, they're going to turn that on you at some point. And that's, he said, the true definition of critical and judgmental in a bad way is that somebody will be critical of somebody just because they feel negative, because they pointed out the truth. That's the kind of person that you're dealing with. If you point out the truth, they get negative, not because they're accurately evaluating the facts. Because if you're accurately evaluating that car and it's a lemon, you should not buy that. And you saying, I'm not buying this car. And if that person keeps pushing you on it, you say, look, this is a lemon. And that person comes back and says, you're so judgmental. That's crazy, right? Like you're being critical in a positive way. You're actually like kind of critiquing what's in front of you. But that person who is like, you're just a narcissist for saying that, that's critical in a bad way. And I feel like that's what this person is. But this is somebody who's going to try to undercut you. They're going to try to cut you at the knees so that you basically don't have a way out of their delusion. And they're keeping you stuck, and they're keeping you trapped, and they're like a cat playing like with a little mouse. And there is a part of them, and again, I think there's a gradient with this group where for some this is much more pronounced, and for others they really are sad sack. They really are like, there's low self-esteem here, but it comes with an immense amount of pain and abuse for you and for other people, because this is the kind of person who will bring in other people, definitely schmegully, but otherwise, and they'll triangulate, and they don't give a single fuck. Like if they're breaking your heart, if they're giving you lifelong trauma, and if they're like warping your brain, they don't care. They want to get what they want to get. This is a person forever in devil energy, because they're just kind of like leading life in impulse. I don't know if you've ever been around like a dead snake. I grew up at a lake, and sometimes people would catch them on the hooks, and we have water moccasins and stuff that are very poisonous. And so if somebody had to like, end the snake, you can't touch it. You can't go around it, because it's even in death, like still very dangerous, because it's going to like kind of flop around, and its body still has electrical impulse. That's what I'm saying. Like, because its body is so built on impulse. And I feel like this person's so built on impulse. So basically this person wishes that they could say that they've changed, but most of all, this person just wishes that you would believe them. They wish that they could rebuild the good grace that they had with you, but this is sort of like, this person's maybe backed themselves into a corner, and I'm sort of getting, I'm feeling the corner, which is like, there's 3 points in the corner. There's only 1 point where they could kind of move forward. And I feel like maybe you're there, or something is there. Like, so it might be more than just you that's realizing this about this person, or this person's burned so many bridges, because essentially this person doesn't really love, like they won't restrict themselves for your benefit. They won't, like, not when it really matters. And they'll only do it if it's like actually a manipulation, like the worst bunch of these people. Or for some of these people, if they're maybe on like, I hate to say like the lighter end, but it's like, maybe they can give you good advice sometimes, but then like when it's actually the advice that's going to give you your freedom, set you up for independence, like, away from them, they'll sabotage you. They'll give you like the wrong impression, but this is somebody who like sabotages from behind the scenes. So whatever they want to say to you, they want to be able to undermine I just heard credibility. They want to undermine like your ability to they want to undermine what it is that they want to be able to gaslight you is what it is. So they want to say like whatever you thought you saw here, right? It also could be that for some of you, that's part of why they're staying silent, because they've been exposed here, like again, like by you or maybe by somebody else, about the way, not just the way that they move, but the way that they think and the way that they look at the world. And so this person sort of, if they're being silent right now, which a lot of them are, it's because you've exposed the way that they look at the world, and they feel like anything that they say is going to be like a validation of that. And okay, there's something here too where this person, they're doing the projection thing where they're maybe trying, because there's somebody else here where, again, I feel like they are being critical in the right way, but that maybe they're trying to get you to doubt this person schmeggerly, or maybe they were blaming this person, and it's, I don't know. And that could be you in the situation where they're kind of like trying to project or like put the blame on somebody here. Yeah, and it could even be you. Let me just see my notes here if I got everything. Yeah, I did. Cool. So yeah. And maybe Spirit's helping out, because remember I said like I started channeling this at night, and I like was just kind of typing it out on my phone because I was like, this seems like something that I don't want to forget, and I just want to like look over it tomorrow just to kind of like refresh this. But I just try to trust whatever's coming out in the readings as well. And that was Spirit, I feel like, looking out to try to get, like, 'cause this person was constricting like a snake, again, trying to like get this from like trying to prevent you from seeing this, and trying to prevent me from being able to speak on it, because it was kind of flowing and then it'll like all kind of block up. And Spirit helped get around that last night, like before this even occurred. So it could be that Spirit is like somehow helping in this situation. Maybe that's what was unpredicted, because again, like I was trying to go to bed. I was trying to get my Z's in. And I was not prepared to like be channeling at all. So it could have been like your mouth was open and something here, like you were not prepared, or you were thinking something was going to go one way, or, you know, and that was Spirit kind of looking out for you in this situation to reveal this person. I just heard the accuracy. Reveal the accuracy, like maybe your own accuracy here about this person. So what would this person want to say? They're kind of silver-tongued, and I think they would like to say anything. This person might want to get you talking as well, but they don't want their mask to slip. This person knows that they would have to be very careful in their language, but even just them being careful, they feel like kind of exposes them in a certain way. Because, okay, you ever heard the superstition? It's like, don't step on a crack or you'll break your mother's back. Remember that from when we were kids? It's like this person's like trying not to step on the crack, but just the very fact that they're putting so like they're like, why are you walking funny? Like I feel like you would notice like, why are you walking funny? But they're like trying not to step on any cracks, or like the game where the floor is lava, you know, like, and you'd be like, why are you doing that? Because they're not telling you that they're like kind of playing that. And this person likes that. They like getting away with it, is what I'm hearing, and they like to be the hidden hand. That's kind of a God complex, because to me, Jupiter is like God energy in astrology, and it's like that expansion, and it's that the hand of God. And so I think this person maybe has a bit of a God complex. They like it from behind the scenes, feeling like the puppet master. But this person's so delusional, and because I feel like rarely this person gets like kind of exposed, because probably if you know who this person is and you really actually understand who this person is, you move away from them because they're just dangerous to be around. But because this is actually a very dangerous person, because they'll come at you like they love you, you know, and they'll come at you like, you know, and they learn and they adapt and stuff like, so this is actually a very dangerous person. So they wish that they could say any of their nonsense and that you would believe it. So let me just see. Oh, look, I'm reaching for the snake thing here. Well, actually, yeah, they want you maybe to see them as this like special, they want a new beginning. I'm getting the Ace of Wands with that. Like they want some kind of passionate new beginning. They want to maybe stand out. I feel like this person, more than they want to say something, they want to do something to kind of blow your mind. Oh wait, I just heard getaway car. I lit a match and blew your mind, but I didn't mean it. And you didn't see it. Yeah. Wait, the suits were black, the lies were white. So this person, they're getting justice. They know that they're getting justice too, because you've thrown up a block. You've kind of ended this karmic cycle. Okay, I wanted to grab this Tangled Love deck here. Look, yeah, you're clearing your mind. You're clearing your heart. Insight, clarity, and truth. You have some kind of insight, clarity, and truth about this person being secretive. Yeah, sneaky, dishonest, mysterious, hiding information. This is just like validating. Yeah. This person wants to embroil you in this push-pull dynamic here again, controlling, unbalanced pride and ego, power struggles. They want to maybe inflame your pride and your ego. Some of you are transcending that in a healthy way. Yeah, look, secretive. Look, the ex, undercover love triangle, sleeping with an ex, someone you know. This is a person who would sleep with someone you know. This is a person who would be sleeping with their ex. But also maybe this is your ex. Okay, yeah, they want you to think that this is like a real true bond, some kind of unshakable bond or divine union. They might, for some of you, this person's really fucked up and manipulative. They might want you to think that they think that about their ex in order to try to control you. Yeah, look, love affair, player, third party, the ex. Yeah. But they want this to be this push-pull between you having like a clear mind, because they know that they have to tolerate this in you somewhat. This like clear mind, clear heart kind of situation. Soul searching. Look, envy. At the end of the day, this person's envious of you, that you are expanding and that you are soul searching and that you feel so free, because at the end of the day, this person is bound and trapped by their own facade. Like they've gotten themselves in like their own bind here. And okay, so really, so now we're actually getting somewhere, because like pay dirt is what I heard. I just saw this person like writhing in pain and just like screeching out. Like this person is so jealous about people who are getting on the right path, who are on the right path, or who are getting on the right path and actually building like healthy relationships and mannerisms and stuff, because this person knows, there's some part of them that knows eventually someday they're going to have to do that, but they don't want to have to go through the pain here. I'm just seeing them like in pain, like just kind of writhing there. They want you to forgive them. Deuces. And I think you have, but you're like deuces. So they just want to keep you bound here. They want in this push-pull dynamic, which they have to be able to inflame your passions in order to do. Your schmexual passions, but also your anger. And you've really been on a spiritual path, I think, to temper that side of yourself and to understand healthy versions of those energies. And what I mean by healthy versions is you can use your passionate energy and your fiery energy to set you free and not to keep you bound. And that's what you've kind of learned to do. So I think that's really all I'm getting here with this person. I feel like they're getting karma, actually. And I just heard them watching you move on in whatever way you're doing that, because some of you with that clear your heart, it's like you're single, but you're like meditating and you're happy and you're because maybe that's for some of you like the hook where this person was making you think that you need a partner, or you need a man, or you need this person, like this is your mom or like your sister or your, that you need them in some way. But actually you're proving them wrong externally, but you're also proving them wrong internally, where you know that you can do it. So I think this person was trying to manufacture some kind of subservience or dependence, and you've shaken it. And I think you've, oh, look, remember that reverse Uno? Yeah. You reverse Uno, because this person wants the 8 of Wands energy to really hit you. They want to be able to, with maybe some kind of sweet voice or something, like send a message that's, and this could even be like a kind of a poison dart, like kind of very just cloaked in there, like they're trying to hot dog pill you something negative, but they want it to hit and they want it to shatter you and they want it to really rock your space. And instead, I feel like you've reversed that. They've sent it and you've ricocheted it right back somehow, either by gray rocking, not responding in the way that you did or didn't respond. Yeah. And there's a blockage here. There's just a blockage. This person is found out. They're caught. They've been, they've been masked, but like, I don't know. I just saw somebody like pants somebody. So like, it's like they've been masked. Like, you've caught on here. So yeah, I think that's all I have here for pile number 1. And compassion, because at the end of the day, this person's a person too, but they're not a safe person. They're not a healthy person. And this person does, and Tim Fletcher talks a lot about this. He's like, they're never going to change. Like, you might think that you get somewhere, like in having a conversation, but so long as they keep getting what they want, they take that as you condoning what it is that they're doing. If you think to yourself, that's another thing that he says. I think I'm pulling this all from the same video, but maybe not. But like, he says like, you might think, oh, they just need more love. Right. And that's keeping you in that toxin maiden kind of femininity where it's like, no, the answer to every problem is not, well, I just need to sprinkle femininity on it. I need to bake cupcakes and I need to love them and I need to baby them. And meanwhile, that's just everything's getting karmically just out of balance because you're being abused. You need some love. The people around need some love, but this person's just soaking it all up. But they never learn from that. They need a consequence, and they need consistent consequences. That's why it's so hard to change these people, is because they need to start losing friendships, relationships, respect from everywhere. Like if you're going to behave that way, doors are just closing. And maybe that's what's happening for this person. Certainly your door has closed, and I feel like you're a big one. I feel like your door being closed is actually a big door to be closed here for this person. And maybe this is this is part of your ending of the cycle. You're cleaning up your part of the way this person's hurt other people. Not that you're responsible for this person's behavior, but if you've been enabling it, because what that means is Spirit's been trying to send this person consequences, and then you feel bad and you block the consequences. You essentially are blocking this person's healing. I'm not saying all of you have done that, but maybe you have for a while. But it was because this person had you all warped as to what the right move was to do here, like what helping them really looked like. They tried to control the way that you viewed even helping them or holding them accountable. And, you wouldn't ask a criminal to conduct their own investigation, and you wouldn't, ask them. Well, actually they do ask them. The detectives a lot of times say like, what do you think should happen to the person who's committed this crime? And just to see if they're like, well, I just think that they should be given a snow cone and, maybe sent on a vacation. Like it's a red flag, So yeah. Okay. That's pile number 1. Good riddance. I feel like for a lot of you, you're like, good riddance to this person. That's the only way they choose to learn tough love. Yeah. And that's also like probably because projection can also work both ways too, where like we can project negative qualities that we don't like about ourselves onto other people, but you can also project like your beautiful qualities onto other people where you're like, God, I would really hate it if I had to learn the hard way. And that's why a lot of people who are toxic positivity people, and they're like, they come from a good place with it. That's like kind of how that comes about, because they're like, my God, I would just be crushed. I don't need that level of harshness in regards of my consequences. Well, that's the thing that they don't understand. And actually it is an empathy problem, because empathy is understanding not everybody's like you. Everybody has their own way that they're kind of dealing with things. And then being able to put yourselves in those people's shoes, but also like, in this person's shoes. This person needs a tougher consequence than you. And being able to really see that, but then also being able to put yourself in the shoes of the people this person regularly goes around out there victimizing. And maybe they would like that to stop. And, but this is a person who will warp all that, because they'll say, my God, you don't have any empathy if you're not catering to me. And there's 15 people with broken legs and bleeding out behind them. And it's like, my God, you don't have any empathy. Are you really going to put me in jail? And you just hear somebody from the background like, oh, like, and it's like, where is your empathy going? Where is it going? And realizing like, unfortunately, it looks like that's the best thing for you and for all of us right now, is for you to be somewhere where you're not going to harm people. Okay. So, all right. Even if piles don't resonate, I learned quite a lot from this live session. When I first started reading tarot, I really hoped that but that was my goal. I was like, even if like it doesn't resonate, because at the end of the day, these are thousands of people and there are 3 piles. So not every pile even regularly can resonate like with that many people, or maybe it does. I don't know. But I was like, well, at the very least, I want people to walk away with something valuable. That's so great. Okay. So, I'm just going to put these piles back up here. If you're just joining us now, you've joined at a really good time. We've just finished pile number 1, and we're getting ready to move on to pile number 2, which is the mentor. Aww. All right. Have a little drinky poo here. As God too shows mercy and forgiveness to ancient Israel. Oh. Ooh, perfect timing. My pile. I'm excited to compassion. Me too. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm just taking a little bit of a breather here. Okay. Pile number 2, the mentor. What would pile number 2's person, what do they wish that they could say? Okay. I kind of feel like this person wishes that they could say nothing. This person might be angry here. Because I'm just seeing this owl like flying away from that explosion in the background. So for some of you, this person's like, I just don't want to deal with this. Just like, maybe there was an explosion. Maybe for some of you you're asking because you like had an explosion all over this person, or maybe there was like a big like blowout or something here. But this person is in owl energy, and maybe for some of you the energies are reversed here. But this person's in owl energy, so they can see in the dark. And owls are incredibly adaptable, and so they see what it is, and they just don't really want to, I think, interact from it. They're kind of just recognizing that this is whatever this blow up was, like it is what it is. They kind of know what place it comes from as well. And they just want to like fly away from it and not have to be involved at all. Oh, look, I picked up this pile again. Do I want a different? Yeah, there's a death ending here. So maybe this person, maybe there is like some kind of residual energy or some kind of tie. I'm getting that there was some type of abusive dynamic here, to be honest, because sometime with the death card, I get like this kind of cling energy. Plus you've got like Anurata in the middle of scorpionic energy, which is the death card. And Anurata is that like lighthouse on a hill. But Anurata types a lot of times can be sucked into abusive relationships, but they always kind of pull themselves back out. And a lot of times the way that they get sucked into those relationships is because they typically have very good hearts, you know, and they like kind of, they understand, you know, that like not everybody's perfect, and they kind of feel bad for people. And kind of like the tail end of pile number 1 is like almost where I'm picking up here, where I was saying that, you know, where do you have like your empathy? You know, this person I think has to learn to see like the full context, and not just like, because they'll deal with maybe very Libran style, you know, because Scorpio follows Libra and has to correct the mistakes of Libra, because every single zodiac sign is out of balance in some way. And Libra's always like kind of balancing things out, and Scorpio sees in the dark and has to get strategic about like leaving a certain situation. And I think maybe this person is that way, but like kind of resentful at the same time of that they have to be that way, because in their heart of hearts, I feel like this person's very Libran, and they want to just be fair and balanced, and they just want to look at what's like kind of right in front of them. But I feel like this person may have become aware of like a ripple effect, that this kind of, the way that this ripples out and affects like, you know, other people, or how it has affected them. And maybe that their kindness has been taken advantage of here, or that they've been misrepresented or something here. Because there's been a blowout is what I want to say. And it could be that somebody here is like still clinging to them or to their energy. And so they just kind of don't want to say anything. But I think this person kind of wishes that you or somebody here would just get it, that they would just get it, because that they've been seen. Like this person's been seen, they've been caught here. And this person doesn't want to waste their breath, like to kind of explain something here. And somebody here is trying to pull them back, but I feel like, okay, let me just see. So what does this person, it feels like there is a pull. I almost want to say from pile number 1's energy that's like pulling this person, and they just want to leave, you know, and like, they just want to go because this is not healthy. They want this to end. Yeah, they want to be alone. This person just wants to be alone. This is a very wise person. They have like an elevated perspective, and I think it's even exhausting or draining on this person to have to explain their elevated perspective. They also wish that this person, instead of asking them to communicate all the time maybe, or like to explain something to them, would just shush and just, again, kind of in their own toxic way, because this person seems to be healthy in their Libran energy. Like they understand sharing, you know, and cooperation and fairness and like the rule of law and things like that. They understand like when it's healthy, the way that things kind of work. And then they kind of reluctantly had to move into a scorpionic energy. Whereas I feel like they were dealing with somebody who is unhealthy in their Libran energy. It feels very needy. It feels like somebody is always wanting to embroil them in some kind of conversation or like a back and forth. And this person's like, I really would like to be excluded from this narrative. I don't choose you. Like, I don't, this is somebody who's like, I don't choose to be in a relationship with you. And you should respect that and then learn your own lessons. Because that's what this person would do. They would go hermit mode and scorpionic mode. They would go internally, and then they would really go deep, and they would be very hyper observant. That's like hyper observant energy, and they would develop their skillfulness with that. And whoever is an actual, like on a Libran level with this person, that this person would want to be in conversation with, and that this person will want to be in relationship with, otherwise it's sort of a waste of time, is somebody. Libra is a scales. The scales have to balance out. And so I feel like they're with somebody here who wants that Libran dynamic, but can't bring the juice to the table, really. You know, but they think that they can. And they're like, well, why don't you just explain it to me? And they just feel like they want to keep this person stuck in like conversation, well, let's keep talking about this. And then you're still engaged with me and we're still having a relationship. And doesn't that feel nice? And this person's like, no, and that's what this person just wants to kind of cut away from it. And they're trying to lead by example, yeah, they want this to end. They want this to end, even if it's painful. That's what they wish that they could say is like, I'm leaving, go away. Like, I want this to end, even if it's painful. And I want there to be a clean end here. Oh yeah. And the way that this person, because this feels almost like this person's dealing with the pile number 1 person. We haven't read pile number 3 yet. Maybe for some of you it goes that direction, but, I'm kind of getting with the hermit because I already shuffled it back into the deck here. Yeah, there's a gridlocked energy. And somebody here's searching for the key, but they want this person to give them the key, and that's the paradox. Because whoever this is, they don't understand that the reason they're not a match for this person is because this person is extremely not needy because they can go hermit mode. They can be alone. They like their own company and they're hyper observant in a good way. This is a person that's deep scorpionic energy, that depth of understanding, but also Virgo is very much that way too. Virgo can see the details, and Virgo is the type of energy that can take something apart and put it back together on whatever plane. And so emotionally, I feel like this person can do that, but this other person can't do that. And they're not learning themselves how to do that. They want this, they're kind of dependent and reliant on this person. You break it down and you tell me, and this person's like, I don't mind, I'm a mirror for you. That's that healthy Libran energy. I don't mind being the mirror where you kind of check your answers, but you have to be learning how to do it, You're supposed to be learning how to do it yourself. And so there's a way that somebody here's trying to stand out. It's very 7 of Wands. They're trying to stand out above the crowd, even if I gotta shout out loud. And it's very much in the external world. But this person's the way that you would stand out to me is by being a hermit, by being alone or being, quiet or reflective. That's who stands out to me naturally. Allow me to find you in the crowd because you're so quiet. I would have to find you, or something here like that. It's allow me to, you're not allowing me to choose you. You're not allowing me to pick you, kind of a thing. Yeah, there's some annoyance here. They're mad, but they're not saying it. They're mad about the way that they've been treated in this situation. And they're also mad that in order to get the justice here, then they seemingly have to appeal to this person's higher angels. It's why can't you just leave me alone? In order for me, I have to convince you to let go of me, or I have to convince you to leave me alone. That puts somebody further back, in this person's mind, because a healthier person, at the very least, is going to be respecting some type of boundary here. Yeah, this person is maybe saying that they want a new beginning. I'm so sorry if this is painful for any of you. And I'm not reading your energy here because this person is saying that they want to jump into some kind of new relationship. And I think that's what this other person is saying too. Yeah, let's have a new relationship. Let's start over. But again, this person hasn't done the work is basically what this comes down to. This person's like, no way. I would be a fool to do that. This person's like, I would be a fool. And I'm not the fool. I'm the hermit, and I can see in the dark, and I can see that you aren't really bringing a lot to the table, or that you're actually new in the game of relationships and stuff. And again, what makes somebody good in a relationship is being able to detach and disengage and on their own, feel safe and confident or something on their own. It feels like somebody here is very clingy and very needy. This person's not even saying that these two aren't soulmates or anything. This person's like, if you are then if you feel like we're soulmates, then you've got to let me go. If you feel like we're soulmates, because it's kind of if you let it go and it comes back, then it was always yours. But this person's like, you won't even let me go in order to see if I would naturally come back to you or something like that. And if I would naturally come back to your energy that's healed, because it seems to me that God or spirit is wanting to send somebody here on a journey of self-healing, on their own. And that person's terrified. And I'm just seeing them biting off all their fingernails and stuff. And this person knows that they're safe. Whoever this owl energy is knows that you're going to be fine. I'm not saying it's not going to be scary or hard, but you're going to be better for it, And, but somebody's clinging to them like a baby blanket, and they don't like that. And it's causing disruption here. It really is. So they want to be victorious. They also want that for this other person because like they're in healthy Libran energy. They're like, I'm going to have my victory and I want you to have your victory on your own. And if we're really soulmates on whatever level, platonic or romantic or whatever, then we'll come back together and then we'll actually balance each other out. But there's somebody who's like a drain. They're like a leech, you know, on this person's energy here. And they're not taking responsibility here. They're kind of in a way putting it on this other person. But Spirit is trying to get somebody to let go. And because see all the brush? Spirit's like putting all this brush. This reminds me, oh my gosh, my friends and I, when I was a kid, there was this one bush, like we were trying to follow this river and there was this prickle bush that was so thick it seemed to go on to Narnia forever, you know, but like we had to like cut through the bush to like be able to follow this. And it was just cutting us up and like, I was the first one through, I think. And I just kept going and going and going. And I was like, I think that we have to turn around, like, you know, because it's just not giving. And I feel like that's like what this person is experiencing. And also we were going the wrong way anyway. And I hate to admit how stupid I was. And I feel like maybe this person feels that way because we were trying to find this waterfall that people kept insisting was near my house. And they said, follow the river. So we were stupid and we were following the river. Like we were following the river instead of following the river back because the waterfall would like be pushing water away from itself. And so then once we turned around and went the other direction, it was like a hop, skip, and a jump. And we were at this amazing waterfall. And we could have been at the waterfall for literal years, actual years before that. Because we would just follow this river for weekends, like for days, for like the entirety of a day, we would just follow it. And it's like, because even though we weren't finding the waterfall, it was still really fun. And it was still really cool. Because it was this kind of like secret river, you know? So I feel like Spirit is trying to push this person in a like go the other way. Go the other way. Go the other way. And go on, like have a little adventure, you know, or actually see the waterfall. Because I feel like this person doesn't trust. Like whoever's clinging here, like doesn't trust that this, maybe they've never, this is somebody who I feel like maybe hasn't had like a spiritual awakening yet, where they haven't had Spirit kind of like shake them and they're like, no, I don't really want to. But then everything turns out for the better. And, even though they have to go through some hard things, everything turns out for the better. And Spirit really, above anything that this person would learn on that journey. Okay, and I think this is what this person would is trying to explain, like, you've got to let me go. Like, above anything that you're going to learn on that journey, which will be a lot. You're going to learn a lot of, like, specific little things that Spirit wants for you, little nuggets that you can take with you. But you're going to get a taste for that. You're going to get a taste for that, like, oh, like when Spirit leads you, what seems like a stray. Because I think these two are soulmates on whatever level. I really genuinely do. But I think Spirit is like, you've got to be healthier. Like, somebody here has to work through their own karmas as an individual before they can be in like this dynamic or this relationship. And Spirit's like, you got to trust me. And I think it might even be a shorter way than they're even thinking. Cause that waterfall was like not very far. It was not very far. And there were traps. There were animal traps there. And I didn't step on any of them. My friend didn't step on any of them. And, I'm not recommending that to anyone. I'm just saying, like, you know, I feel like metaphorically, that's what Spirit's trying to say is like, I got you, trust me. It is dangerous. We'll go have fun. And, you're going to see all of this so differently. You know, you're going to see all this so differently. And this other person's kind of kicking this person off. Like, it's not goodbye forever. Like, you know, but like, please let me go. Like, if you love me, let me go. Like, if you love me, let me go. And that's a different view on love as well. I kind of am getting that, like, they're dealing with more of a pile number one kind of person that's like maybe stagnating them, or they're just stalling, like trying to knock on my door. It's just you stalling, you know. I also just heard stonewalling, because I think this person who's chasing after them and who is in unhealthy Libran energy, they're like, stop stonewalling me. And this person's like, I'm not, like, I can't have this conversation with you because you're not on my level. Like, I'm not trying to be rude about that. You're not on my level. You don't see the things that I see. And it would just be me spending my time teaching a third grade class when I just think that you should go to a third grade class with other third graders and learn your colors and your numbers. And, you know, then emerge from that. And like, when you are on my level, because it seems like Spirit maybe is going to fast track this person or something, then we can talk about our issues and we'll actually get somewhere. And it won't be me dragging you behind, because this dynamic of us being in relationship and conversation, it drains me because you are not an equal match to me. And you don't understand that. And you don't even care enough that you're hurting me. Like, this relationship is hurting me. Yeah, that's the key. And that's the Hierophant. And I feel like there's an intuition here that's trying to tell somebody that they need to be their own key. They need to kind of find their own key here in the situation. And Hierophant is like also a marriage here, the devil. I feel like that's what this is. It's like the Hierophant and the devil, you know? not to, and it's not to insult this person, but this person is like too impulsive. Maybe they're ruled over by their lower natures, and it's equal in its intensity here, but it's not healthy. And they don't want the same things, because I feel like this devil energy is like really attracted, to the Hierophant. And the Hierophant, it's not that they're not attracted, but they want a healthy relationship. That's what they want. They want something like kind of, the Ace of Cups. They're like, I will accept your cup when it's the Ace of Cups. Okay, and anything else, anything that you pulled out of that goat, I don't want to see it. Okay. There's a lot of major arcanas coming out here. And very spiritual ones too. I mean, they're all spiritual, but look, it's just reading like so spiritual. This has to do with a spiritual journey here. This has to do with a spiritual journey. I really feel like this person, they don't want to say anything too, because they know that there's nothing that they can say that's actually going to, there's an anxiety here coming from this clingy person. There's nothing here that this person can actually say to deal with this person's anxiety. They just have to jump. In that Fool energy. What they want to say is like, trust spirit and just jump. I promise you won't regret it. Like take a chance on yourself is what it feels like. Like just take a chance and follow what the voice is telling you. Yeah. 8 of Wands. Because spirit, it feels like spirit, or maybe this person is like really trying to break through some kind of like confusion. Because it feels like somebody here is trying to like hide, it's that 7 of Cups. 7 of Cups for me is like Venus in Scorpio. So it's like, again, there's something like Venus is trying to hide in like the Scorpio energy to figure out its options. Somebody here's like trying to do that, and they're trying to present themselves as like this noble energy or a stable energy or something. But somebody else here has a strong intuition that it's not true and that it's not correct. Or maybe something already has been spoiled here and it's caused a blockage, and it's for the highest and greatest good of all. So what they would say is, I know we're soulmates. Yes, I understand that. Because somebody here is like, but we're supposed to be together. And they're like, just because we're supposed to be together doesn't mean that we're supposed to be together now when you're all crazy and unhealed. Because the only thing that's going to do is now we're both crazy and unhealed. Okay? Please understand that I've like made some strides here in healing myself, and I need to remove myself from you. And while you go and heal yourself. And I'm sure in our soul's journeys that there's some times where you've had to do that for me, or you will have to do that for me in the future. And then you will understand perfectly. Because I just heard I'm also scared about a lot of things, and I can be hard-headed. Like, when you get into that like anxious mindset and bitches ain't shit and they ain't saying nothing. 100 motherfuckers can't tell me nothing. When you get in that like state, that it's like this person is genuinely understanding of like the human element of it, but they're like, it's about the dance, it's about the process. Like, enjoy the process, okay? And then we're going to be able to be together, and it's going to be so much healthier. It's going to be so much better. Yeah, than being with the Knight of Wands. And the Magician, yeah, there's this karmic block is there for a reason. And this person might also be saying like, it's a reason that I've called in. It's a reason that I've manifested. It's a reason that I've asked for. So I think I want to keep it short and sweet, because like I said, this person doesn't really want to say anything. If anything, this person wants to kick this person out of the nest. Like, this little bird is totally ready to fly. Like, like just go, like, because they know, and it's not to be mean or anything, but they know that it's hurting them to stay stagnant. Like, this person's like, you're just stagnant in your journey. Like, go on, get out of here, like, and as soon as that bird takes flight, it's going to know what it's for, because the bird is not meant to sit in that nest for its entire life. It's got wings. It's supposed to fly, but it feels like there's a death energy that it has to kind of get over, and this person who's trying to get away is trying to prevent a codependent dynamic from happening. I don't know that they have that like in their mindset, or if they're just intuitively, they know that, that you're dependent on me in a way that I know is not healthy. And I know it's not what I want to get out of a relationship, So they are like this kind of like, no, it's actually healthy, because if they were to say yes, this would build a toxic codependent relationship. And that's troublesome, because I actually think these two might be soulmates and might be meant to have a healthy dynamic, but they gotta both heal, and they'll do that in their own time frames. And this person understands that. Somebody here is kind of accepted, and they have compassion, and they have resigned to like, just because we're soulmates doesn't mean that we're butt buddies and we do everything in the same time and in the same exact way. Like, yeah, I figured this little thing out. I turned around in the pricker bush, and you have to do it a little bit later. It's okay. Like, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. So, Parissa. I wish these readings had a little message to help me, not just helping the other party. I feel like pile number 1 is the other party. So you might want to check that one out if you didn't read that. And if you were drawn into pile number 2, but your real pile is pile number 1, like actually from their perspective, or if maybe pile number 3, because we haven't had that might be telling you something about your intuition here and the way that it's kind of like operating. And it could be that, maybe what it's telling you is something like you have to kind of understand their perspective before you can fully understand your own. And again, I'm hearing what I was saying. I can't remember if it was pile number 1 or if it was like in my little spiel beforehand about forgiveness. So it could be that you're working on forgiveness, maybe for yourself or for this person. Maybe you haven't quite reached the threshold here. I'm kind of getting that. If you're feeling that way here in pile number 2, you might not be all the way to the finish line of like, I understand you and like your human experience. I'm actually hearing like you don't. And so Spirit is saying you have to understand. Maybe it's something here like you're trying to understand yourself, but you can't understand yourself without fully understanding this person. And you may have prematurely detached from like thoroughly processing the situation, which is maybe why your intuition is drawing you into a pile number 2 when actually this person's in pile number 1 energy. And so if you're truly like trying to understand, oh, maybe they're saying that you should shift your focus to trying to understand them, like in order to fully be able to like detach or let go of this or something here. Yeah. Oh, look, and then the Hermit and the Hangman. So that's Virgo and Pisces energy, which is the victim martyr axis. Okay, so there's something to heal around victim and martyr. I'm just going to go into that. I feel like we're kind of shooting off here of the main victim martyr. Oh, this person's saying, oh yeah, there's like some kind of victim mentality here. Or I'm martyring myself. Yes. Okay. That's like such confirmation. And this is like a fruitful new beginning for your processing, because there was like a hint of kind of like, I've been so victimized by Spirit, or I've been so victimized by this. And Spirit is wanting you to grab your own Ace of Wands and to kind of not sit in this. Because the pile number 2 person is fighting for that. Like this person's fighting for that. They just kind of can't. Somebody here's got them in some kind of like vortex. You know, they're pulling. They're like a gravity here. So, but there's maybe another group here where they're kind of just like sitting in it and Spirit's like, grab it, you know, and try to break free of this, or try to like have some kind of passionate new beginning here. Victim and martyr. That's a big thing here for somebody. Like this is also sometimes like my Hecate card of just like, this is a lamp. Spirit's trying to light a match here on victim martyr dynamics. Victim martyr mindset. Okay, because for some, I feel like maybe you're hearing this message of like, I've martyred myself here for this person. And that makes me holier. That makes me, but that is the dynamic that, oh yeah, that maybe some still with this group still need to detach from that. Page of Cups. Yeah, there's 2 groups here because there's one that's more Page of Cups and there's one that's Queen of Cups. There's some kind of apology energy. Hold on. What are you saying about the victim martyr thing? Because I know that there's some kind of fruit there. There's some type of mom issue or nurturance issue. Because I feel like this mom issue or like a nurturance issue was more like an emperor energy. And somebody felt like very small in relation to that. And there's some kind of dynamic that I feel like gets kicked up. Oh, this person. Hold on. Sorry, this is like maybe a tangent. Like it's a shoot off here, but I can tell that there's something that's trying to come through. Why can't it come through? Oh, look. 2 10s. Yeah. 2 10s is like a permanent decision for me. About the Hierophant. About some kind of key. And the 9 of Wands. There's a hidden defensiveness here. Okay. Oh, I get it. I get it. This is exactly the kind of thing that this pile number 2 person didn't want to go into. They're trying to hold a boundary. They're trying to hold a boundary. They're trying to protect their energy. Okay, so this like pile number 2 person they're really trying to protect their energy and hold a boundary. Because I'm like, why can't I like get into it? It's because they've set a boundary here. I'm not going to explain it to you. It's something that you have to go internal. Some of you might be thinking that you're a pile that you're not. And you're really being asked to go inwards here. And to re-examine. Again, with the hermit energy, which is Virgo, the detail-oriented energy, the patterning energy, and that scorpionic energy that's deep and it's emotional. Because somebody here is trying to say good. Okay, so there is the actual pile that I've talked about here. And it's kind of victim, rescuer, persecutor. So there could be somebody here that is helping the situation, like a therapist or something. That person is needing somebody here to see their part in this, and it's something victim martyr, but it's also there hasn't really actually been a decision made here, and they still have undercover patterns that is linking them to some kind of other person here. Father of Cups. Yeah, it's a temptation energy, and maybe thinking something here is like a blessing or it's like some kind of spiritual inheritance. Yes, that was a major confirmation. So somebody here is really actually not let go because somebody here is like they're mad and they have seen something, but it's on a very superficial level. Okay, so that's what I was getting with the Page of Cups and the Queen of Cups. There's 2 groups here. So one is the Queen of Cups. Okay, this is a very mature energy. This person, when they say that they're leaving you, they really do mean it. When they say that they're like, you've got to go, like they really do mean it. There's somebody else who I think is following a Queen of Cups energy. And this could be even in our little community because we all mix our energies in order to help. We're all just walking each other home. So this Queen of Cups group here is actually kind of leading the way and they get it. And, but there's, if you were drawn into pile number 2 and you're kind of feeling this, then I feel like maybe it's because you're in that Page of Cups energy where you've popped up into this kind of pile number 2 energy, but there's still a further way to go of like wisening this up and following this kind of Queen of Cups group that's here. Because there's still more work to do. And again, it's coming out in the cups energy. So like water, level space. I hope this does not feel at all like I'm like picking on whoever said this, because sometimes I just feel like this is such an interactive process. And that like kind of alerted me to like, that was Spirit's way, I think, of saying like, there's something else here. Again, it's the same thing, like continue on with that. Because if you're in the Page of Cups energy that I'm describing, where you've kind of popped up, this is a new kind of level of understanding for you, where you've just recently kind of like put everything together, sort of like figured everything out. And it was very potent what you figured out, and you do want away from it, but the shadow work hasn't been fully done here. Like the understanding of the patterns that like that this person holds, or like that this person kind of draws into you. That's like you kind of really getting away from this and like actually processing. You're on the tail end of it, and it's yang energy that you're building in yourself, pulling away from this like yin force, regardless of your gender here, because for some of you, this is a masculine energy that's stuck in toxic femininity that he's performing his masculinity. It's not actual masculine energy built through actions. He's performing that. So that's actually a toxic feminine energy that's pulling on your yang energy. And you're learning how to take action to move kind of away from that. But in order to do that, it's still that hermit and scorpionic energy, that death energy. It's still the observation. It's the detail oriented. It's the pattern. It's how everything kind of clicks together. And it's that like deep water sort of energy. And it's teamwork and it's working together. Oh, and Spirit is saying like it's teamwork and it's working together. It's not Spirit should do this. Oh, I get it. Spirit is the owl. Spirit is the owl. And Spirit's saying, I'm not doing it for you. I'm not digesting this for you. You have to learn how to do it on your own. Okay. This is the big thing that Spirit is wanting to get through to this pile. You getting away from this, it's not Spirit, because I'm picturing Spirit as like this owl that has like as if it were a horse, like kind of pulling a carriage behind it. Spirit's like, that's not what I'm trying to do. That's codependency, baby. And that's not what I'm trying to do. Yet I'm getting you started, right? Like I'm getting you going. Okay. What's a way of saying that? Like a sourdough starter. Like if you're starting a sourdough, it's like Spirit's like, I took some from my little sourdough starter and I put it over here in yours, but you're going to feed it and you're going to water it. And that's what I'm trying to do here with you. I don't give a fuck you getting away from this relationship. If you can't make sure that you can't make sure without asking me shit, you make sure that you understand what that is from a mile away, that you can see it clearly. That's you learning. That's the kind of learning Spirit's trying to do. And there is a ramp energy here, but Spirit is needing a little more help. Spirit is needing a little more teamwork. Spirit is needing a little more investment from some people here of actually learning these skills, and practice. I just heard practice makes perfect. And I also just heard perfect is not a destination, it is a direction. So we're not trying to get to perfect like as this end goal, but just like trying to perfect these skills is what Spirit is trying to work with you on. Because I feel like so this pile number 2 group, remember I was telling you about the river that my friends and I were following. I was telling you about the pricker bush, and it's like, turn around. And that's what somebody here wishes that they could tell somebody. Turn around, trust me. Like, it's absolutely worth it. Well, somebody here, this Page of Cups energy isn't the Queen of Cups energy. They're not as far along as they might think that they are, but they do know, they can relate to what I'm talking about here, because they have turned around and they're like, no, that is actually the healing. That is the benefit, but they're not even all the way towards the healing journey yet. And that the messaging here still applies. This is Spirit still saying, keep going, because you still have lessons that you're learning. And, because part of them, I think, is still ambivalent, and part of them is still waiting for a reward or something, like some kind of transactional energy from Spirit, where it's saying, okay, well, I did what you said, and I have actually seen some benefits here in my life, but there's some kind of inheritance energy, and Spirit saying, nope, this is about learning how to work together with Spirit in particular, but also with the material realm. So I'm seeing Spirit and the material realm, and also it's learning compassion and it's learning acceptance, and it's always there. So this is about, so what Spirit is trying to say is yes, you're angry and you're leaving the situation, but that's thinking small, and there's some way that Spirit is wanting you to think big. It's not just about serving this one situation. Okay. Because, oh my gosh, I hope that this doesn't feel like I'm picking on that person. But okay. Cause what was said was, I just wish that Spirit would help me, and not help me on all along on my path. And Spirit's I am, but you have to try to see it from a different perspective, that you're not out of this, or the way that you're applying these things is specifically to this romantic relationship. And I think somebody here is wanting the message to change because, well, I've removed myself from this relationship, but Spirit's I'm using this relationship and we're unpacking the patterns. There's so much to unpack around that. And this has come out in other messages before where it's we can throw you into another relationship here, but it's actually backtracking because you're going to have to go through the trauma of that relationship and everything. And that will actually set you back. So Spirit is trying to kind of wrap this up with a bow. It's kind of what I'm getting. Cut people off, never let. Why is that? Stayed with years, it's been abusive. What is wrong with me? Oh my gosh, nothing's wrong with me. But you know what, T? I feel this Tim Fletcher video that I want to share over on Patreon, I feel that's going to answer all the questions for you probably. And maybe Tim Fletcher has more of that understanding of the abusive relationship dynamics and but that's your path forward as well. That's your direction because this is kind of, okay, this is beautiful. So, okay, so the question was, Jess, you have a bachelor. I think that she means bachelor's in psychology. So I have a question. I cut people off and never look back if they hurt me. Why is there that one we have stayed with years that has been abusive? What is wrong with me? And that is such a big question. That's Spirit's point here. This ties back into the message for whatever is going on here. That is actually such a big question with many little side shoots and answers. It's so holistic to answer that question, and answering that question for yourself is probably a big part of your spiritual journey and your spiritual path, but there's so much to uncover there that there's no one little soundbite. And I feel that's what somebody here is kind of craving, is for Spirit to mama bird. I'm seeing that mama bird chew it up and to kind of spit it out. That's one soundbite of information, and you, once you go through that journey, will have that soundbite for yourself, and it'll make total sense. And you'll know when you say that sentence that it hits on every little nuance. You've crafted that sentence just perfectly. But somebody who hasn't gone through that journey will hear that same sentence and still have loads of questions because all of the nuance isn't alive for them. It's not lit up for them. And that's the difference here too with that Page of Cups energy and the Queen of Cups energy. That's very different. The Queen of Cups energy is hearing on a different level because of the things that they've sort of put together for themselves, and they're going, yes. And all the little details check out, and they're hearing a richness here. But for the Page of Cups, it's okay, well, I mean, yeah, I hear what you're saying and I understand and I agree with it, but then they don't understand that there's more in that nuance. And so it becomes a journey, and answering that question, it becomes a journey, and it becomes the direction that you're moving in. Well, why have I stayed in that abusive relationship? And we were saying in pile number 1, do you know how smart you have to be an astronaut? But then you have all these kind of love feelings, and then, So unpacking that can be like your life's work and the thing that you try to understand about yourself, because it's the thing that you recognize that you've maybe sabotaged yourself. Like, well, this, you use the word abusive. So you've recognized here, there's some kind of abusive dynamic, and I can logically recognize that it's abusive, but then I stay. Why do I stay? Why am I unable to kind of like cut myself? Like, what is it? And then unpacking that probably, touches on family dynamics, attachment style, religious adherence to some kind of like higher moral code that maybe you felt like you resonated with, but if you start to deconstruct that, there's so many different things specifically for you that it can go into, but it'll help you understand the human condition. And ultimately, I just heard the word compassion and acceptance. It'll lead you to compassion and acceptance of, ultimately, like the end goal is like compassion and acceptance of like the end goal, like the human, just the human experience, that we're all kind of like having human experiences. And it's not just a matter of being, it's like the Empress or the Emperor in the tarot, right? It's not just a matter of being Queen of Swords or King of Swords, just being that logically smart. It's not just a matter of being emotionally intelligent with the cups. It's about all of them, and then all of them kind of being put back together. And that adds such a depth and a richness and like a layer of nuance. And Spirit is saying that. Spirit is saying this is about giving you that taste of pursuit of self and pursuit of knowledge. This is what's getting you on a spiritual path that is so much more than this situation, or just how do I navigate, my ego dynamics and what my ego wants and what my ego wants to get out of this. This is about like a hunger for knowledge, but they're using the word knowledge in like this greater term. And I can feel myself, okay, I don't exactly understand this myself, because I'm just a person as well, and I'm figuring these things out. And I don't like giving messages like this because it makes me sound like I have everything figured out, and I definitely do not. But what Spirit is trying to point out is like there's a kind of relating that Spirit is trying to have you do with it. Not that you have all the answers, and not that but that you know how to pursue those answers, that you don't give up on yourself. This is like self-love, it's self-abandonment. There's so much more that goes into this journey. You're learning about like when you start asking those kind of bigger questions, if that makes sense. Okay. I can feel this because I had somebody reach out to me and send me a nasty message this last week, and they were triggered, and they were, I didn't take it seriously at all. I'm actually like I'm getting like a lot better at being able to do that. And I can just feel like there's a certain kind of burning here, like for some people, that feels maybe like shame, or feels maybe like embarrassment. And just know that I'm not trying to talk down to you, and I'm not trying to act like I have all the answers. But I do know that if you try to like really understand certain things, and if you have self-accountability and you practice that religiously, I'm talking about like nobody's supposed to guide you through anything. Like, if you just have that, then that will really get you through. That will lead somewhere. That's been my own personal path. I don't know. Well, I haven't shared it over there on Patreon yet. So like, give me a couple hours like after this, because when I'll try to. But also Tim Fletcher's entire channel, like you can just go there. Oh, thanks. Okay, anything else that wants to come through? Okay, so Spirit is also, I feel like this is maybe some of you are asking like Spirit's in the mix here, because I feel like Spirit's the owl. Even if you yourself are like kind of a baby owl following Spirit, this is Spirit. There's like a third party here in this situation. And it's, remember like way back at the beginning of this message where I'm like, Spirit doesn't want to say anything because it's Spirit doing like, Spirit is not trying to develop this dynamic of Spirit kind of chewing and like just, giving you the answer. Spirit wants to, yes, do that at the beginning, but then Spirit wants to teach you to go how, Spirit will mama bird something to you, but wants you to learn how to go hunt a worm, So everything is not the same at every different point in the journey. And Spirit is wanting to see a little more initiative is like what I'm getting here for some of you. And you're not bad. You didn't do anything wrong. But Spirit is saying like, you have to trust me. Spirit is saying you have to trust me because this is about action now. Karma means action. And so yeah, it's about action now. And it's not about words. There's certain things that you can't learn through like listening and words. You have to learn by just jumping out of the nest, You have to learn by trying to hunt a worm and failing a million times. And still kind of like learning and then kind of learning how to like kind of look back at Spirit and use that to try to learn how to be like self-sufficient or something here like that. Okay. Yeah, this is like a long-term journey to healing. And spirit wants to be the star in the sky to say like, come on, yeah, little further, little further, little further. And spirit wants to help you do that, you know? Also, the scene from The Lion King where Mufasa is teaching Simba how to hunt, that's coming through, you know? And also Mufasa, doesn't he like pounce on Simba too? Like, you know, so it's scary, but like, yeah, be a little flexible, be a little playful. And don't expect spirit to just in a singular unilateral fashion, just spirit is always talking to you. That's what I just heard. That's part of what's missing here for some is spirit's always talking to you in your daily life and in actions and in the situations that you kind of find yourself in. And spirit wants you to start kind of lighting up and connecting that to spirit's voice as well. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a worry that to kind of put some distance here. Yeah, this is like learning. It's learning in the realm of air. Like watching the mama owl to see like what the mama owl does kind of a thing. And there's certain things that you can't see because it's going on inside of the mama owl. So you can't really see that, but you can see the fruits of it. And then you can start to kind of put it together for yourself and climb up out. Yeah. And that's the kind of mothering that spirit's wanting to do. Oh, okay. So the mothering is more emperor energy. That's what was coming through. Like there's an emperor energy. And for some, there's in the emperor card in this deck, the moon goes in front of the sun, which is this eclipse energy. And there was maybe some kind of like negative nurturing that went on here in the past that was too involved, too helicopter parenty. But it's an eclipse. It's like kind of hiding the sun here. But so the mothering energy needs to come through more of like an emperor, more like I'm seeing mom wearing a hat with a whistle in her mouth. That's like, and jump, you know, like my mothering isn't going to look like me chewing up the bird and spitting it into your mouth anymore. That's irresponsible. So, and jump. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and jump. And it's like, why are you doing this to me? But it's like, you know, and so if you haven't pushed forward into that next section yet, then I feel like there's a stagnation. And that's what spirit's trying to highlight here. There's a stagnation and there needs to be a decision to take some type of leap towards something here. Yeah, and for some, they're defending having a higher ground that they haven't really earned yet. They see a higher perspective, but they haven't, their actions, their legs haven't gotten them to the higher ground actually. So they're defending a higher ground, but so there's a split energy here where it's like the mind understands something here as the higher ground, but their actual physical body is still at the bottom of the hill. And it's like, okay, so you have the map of where we're going, but we have to actually go there. And that's going to be like the lesson. So there's a gradient here with this pile of some people who like are really, 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 really clinging and they don't even want to like turn away from like a relationship or something that's like not working out. And I feel like there's maybe even people around them that are like, really do it. Like that's, you know, and some people have started to do it and they think that they're at the finish line because they've had some like positive results in their life, but it's still just the beginning. And that's the good news. I just heard that's the good news, you know, from the Bible. Like, have you heard the good news? Like, I feel like that's the good news is that like, you're just at the beginning of this but thinking you're at the finish line and then getting frustrated that something's not changing is because you're not recognizing that you're not at the finish line. Oh my gosh. Deal. Welcome, honey. This is pretty par for the course. For all the piles. But I do think that I'm done here with pile number 2. And okay, actually Deal brought up a good point here because I noticed like my own patterning for myself that I get really wordy and then I try to kind of explain certain things when I know that it's like confusing and hard to make sense. And that again circles back to the beginning of this pile where spirit's like, I don't want to say anything. Like, because saying it is so unproductive. The doing of it is where you're going to actually learn and it will actually click in. You'll think you're confused is what I'm getting. You'll think that you're confused when you're actually not. If you try to learn through thinking at this leg of your journey, if you try to learn through thinking, you will think that you're confused and you're not actually confused. But if you take an action, even if you fall on your ass or if you like make a fool of yourself, which by the way, somebody did, somebody took a chance here and they were like, I wish they said like what was truly on their heart, which is like, I'm frustrated with this, like blah, blah, blah. And it actually influenced the reading in a way that might feel uncomfortable, but I feel like was actually getting the answer that they genuinely wanted. But that's never would have happened if somebody she jumped out of the nest in a way, you know, of saying that. And then spirit was like, well, there's a bit of a victim martyr thing going on here and we have to like look into that, right? But this all goes back to, and I'm just pointing this out because, and we talked about this on Patreon where sometimes I feel again, it's victim, rescuer, persecutor. Sometimes I feel demonized in the work that I do, because again, here in pile number 2, the truth is that this is something that can't be learned through words. And that's the only medium that I have here to communicate. So if somebody's not getting it and all I have is words to try to explain it, then we have to spend some time here, because words aren't the best medium, but you can only be the finger pointing to the moon. And it's not that that's not a necessary goal or a necessary practice, but then you get even more confused, because then I become the target, or somebody's looking at me and saying, well, you're fucking up, Jess. Like, you're doing this so wrong. And I want to spend time talking about how you're doing this wrong, instead of, oh, it's because I'm using swords energy when I should be using fire energy in order to jump like with my body or something. And that would make this explanation go from 10 minutes to 2 seconds, you know? But it's okay, because even like if this is where you're at, then this is where you're at. But then I feel like for a lot of you, this is reassurance, because there's a lot of anxiety here in this group of like the clinging and like the mediums that they're used to and everything. There's a lot of anxiety to kind of like take this next step or take an actual like leap of faith and to actually receive that information back, because it might come through failing, and it might come through having to expose yourself as well, being the small duck instead of like the big duck. And that's scary. And it also punctures through the ego, you know, of, well, I understand this and I'm correct and I'm on the right path, but I don't want to be critiqued, or like, I don't want to be evaluated by the world, you know, like by kind of putting myself out there. But it's still very much worth doing. And that way your focus stays clean, where you're still focused again on that hyper self accountability, and where you're focused on the actions that you're doing. And that becomes this kind of sealed feedback loop between you and spirit, where then spirit can talk about the actions that you're taking. So there's just a little worry here that there's too much of a dependency on outside of you and outside of like the life experience, if that makes sense. Pile number 2, this is the kind of energy that makes me feel terrible. And like, I'm a terrible tarot reader. Okay. Okay. So there we go. We'll put this up. If you just joined us now, you've come at a really great time. We have just finished pile number 2, which is the mentor, and we are moving on to pile number 3, which is the gem. Compassion. Thank you for my midwinter night candle. Love it. Oh, I'm so glad. And thank you to whoever complimented my headband. Arani said, I realized after a couple of years watching tarot, I needed to have moments where I ask questions to the void and find answers there instead of all in tarot. But what I'm getting in this pile is like, it's not even about answering questions. It's about like living life and allowing life to answer those questions. It's not so much like formulating a question with the mind. It's just living an experience and then kind of digesting it a bit later. Like, you'll realize that you learned so many things that you kind of didn't clock that you learned, but it's you know what I mean? Oh, yay. Nice. Nice. All right. Ooh, pile number 3, I'm at the gem. The Bears. Isn't that from like a SNL skit? The Bears.
Well, it's also just a thing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
My husband's from Chicago.
Now that you... it's something that you should probably be aware of.
Okay, so let's see. For pile number 3, what would they say? Or what do they want to say? Okay, wait, hold on. All right. Sorry, I had to cleanse my energy there for a second. All right. So what do they want to say? This person's kind of thinking about it here for a second. This is kind of a cool person, whoever you're asking about, because they're taking the time to really like, maybe for some of you, it's like not on the tip of their tongue either, where they're like, what do I want to say? What do I want to say? But they're just kind of like working it out in their mind, what they might want to say. This person also might be in the middle of a process, like right in the middle of a process. So they're kind of, if they were the caterpillar, they are the soup. And so they don't know exactly what they're wanting to say. Maybe they're wanting to show you. There could be a connection here to pile number 2 because of that. It's just, the timing is off, like with the saying of things, because if they say something too early, then it could cause confusion. Yeah. Like it could just cause confusion, but also like this person might not know what it is that they're turning into or where they're going until they just kind of emerge a butterfly or something here. So what would this person, what do they have to say? I just heard all I have to say is all that I am. Emily, thank you so much for the super chat. Oh my gosh, me too. Oh, Mystical, thank you so much for the super chat. Okay, so, all right, Spirit, what would they want to say? Okay, again, I'm hearing that song, I Love You, I'm Sorry by Gracie Abrams, which again, that's kind of funny because it came up in pile number 1, but this energy is not like pile number 1. This energy may have been framed as a pile number 1 energy, or you may have misunderstood this person. And maybe that's a little bit why this person is wary as well. Either you could have misunderstood this person, or they're just used to being misunderstood, or somebody like a pile number 1 person could have demonized them in order to get what they wanted or something here. But in that song, I Love You, I'm Sorry, I think maybe you would want to say that to this person, or they would want to say that to you, but this is like genuine and they would actually mean it. But in that song, it's like, there's a part that says, you're on a boat, I'm on a plane, or I'm on a boat, you're on a plane, going somewhere same, So it's like, we're not going to the same place, but we're both like kind of going somewhere, and you're on a boat or I'm on the plane. Maybe for some of you, this person's like, we're going to the same place, or like we're going to meet up, but you have to go by boat and I have to go by plane. Or they are saying like, we're both traveling, but maybe we're going in different directions for now or something here like that. Like, or maybe they're saying, I don't know what they're saying. Like maybe that they don't know. For some of you, this person doesn't really know where they're going to end up. They're just living it. Like this person's very, like they're kind of zen, or like they're a part of a process. They're like, they're going with the flow in some kind of way. And if you all feel, what they know is that it feels right to them. Like on a deep level, something here just feels right. And there's the surrounding of the gem, like looks like the underworld card to me. So it's like, there's been some like digesting here, but they couldn't tell you how they're doing it. They couldn't explain to you how they did it. So they don't want to. This is kind of similar to pile number 2 in that way, but they would say that they're multifaceted, that they're a whole, or something's a whole, or you're a whole. I don't know. They would talk about something here being like a whole, that gem, but see how it's like multifaceted and there's like different kind of like faces or something. There's a hesitancy here too to like say something because they can't quite encompass it. What is pile number 3? What do they want to say? Okay, this person has maybe been through it. They're healing, they're resting. Maybe they've been through it with you, maybe they've been through it with somebody else here. I think they feel alone, but what they would say is that they're dreaming of like family, and they're dreaming of community, and they're dreaming of like, because this person, it's giving Sleeping Beauty a little bit, where like this person is like a Sleeping Beauty and they're maybe like considered a trophy or a prize or something like that. But this person's kind of had to remove themselves in some way. Some of these people might have like felt cursed because like that enchanted castle, everything's kind of like cursed. They felt like cursed to isolation, but they dream about having like friends and like happiness and, everything being like kind of beautiful. And maybe you're like watching this person. I don't know. Cause okay, I'm getting like Sleeping Beauty, and then I'm getting somebody here just like looking at this person. And feeling like this person is like an answer to something, or like, again, like their spiritual inheritance. But I'm not getting that this person is like objectifying this person. This is maybe a person who's used to being objectified. And that's why they are having to heal, is because they've been made like a trophy, or they've been treated like an object, or like a gem or something here. Maybe they feel like they've gave something of real value. For a lot of you, this might be your energy here. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I was thinking about this the other day too, like how spirit always seems to give me messages where it's like this might be your own energy, and spirit was like it's very intentional. Because and I was like I wonder if it's like because of the way that I can explain it, like coming from a first person perspective, but also it's like it does require a listener, because I used to say this a lot in the readings. Listening is not a passive experience. So it's like the gym, like kind of diving for the gym. And I'm also hearing that Mike Tyson quote that says everything of value in this world, it's not just like given up. It's something that you have to like actually dig for. And that kind of protects it from the people who are ready to have it or like meant to have it, who've like kind of earned it. You know, like you have to dive to the bottom of the ocean. You have to dig around in the sand. You've got to get the, that whole thing. And so I feel like this person is kind of like a gem, like they're a pearl or a gem. And so there is something here where it might be hard to get to this person. Actually, maybe that's something here. Like you love this person so much or something, and like it's hard to get to them. Because that's for good reason, because they really, I think, genuinely been hurt because people have treated them like an object, like a football to kind of like toss around or like to fight over or something, or maybe they've been given like a gem, kind of like I just heard a shut up ring or something like that, like not actually, but just like treated in a two-dimensional way, like here, I've done this to you, so like you give that to me, like very maybe transactional. This is not a transactional person. This is a very multifaceted person. They've actually really been through a lot. This might be a person who's scared to open up, or they need some time here. Like this person maybe does need some time to like rest or be alone or be in isolation or just heal, because they dream of like happiness, but it's not really been the way that they've been treated, or it's like the world hasn't actually like matched up to them in some way. So, for some of you, maybe you feel like this person's not aware of you. And okay, for some of you, I feel like you think that this person's not aware of you. There might be two energies here, like where there's somebody from the past that's hurt this person. That I'm picking up on, but there's like a new person is like what I'm getting, this King of Cups. And I feel like this is a divine relationship or a blessing. This is somebody who has something to give, love to give, like well-rounded, like they're not just going to hand you weird shit, to, here's this ring. Is that love for you? Does that register as love, or should I get you food, or, what should we do here? Should I smack you on the ass? I don't know. What button do I push to get what I want out of you? This person's been treated that way and it's hard. And so they're healing and they're resting. And somebody else here, but also maybe somebody from the past, but I feel like there's a new person. That's what I want to zero in on in this, is genuinely like, they're both like, I want to say a wish fulfillment for each other. Like this, there's some kind of like divinity here. I do think there might be some kind of, it is giving a bit like the prince, has to defeat the dragon before, coming through. And it might be that this person is the dragon or some aspect of them is, or there's something around, but, there's temptation. There's some type of temptation that this person has to kind of overcome in order to reach this. And it's, again, because maybe they feel like this person can't see them or won't see them. And it might make somebody here feel inadequate or feel like, oh, well, they're ignoring me because I don't have enough money, or I don't have enough charisma, or I'm not interesting enough. That's not really it. This person's healing from something. They're healing from a certain type of treatment. And so there might be a temptation here to treat them in that way, to trophy them and to not treat them like a person. And don't do that. And somebody here has done that, I think, from the past, and they're looking at this person and they're feeling like this person maybe doesn't respond to them or doesn't look at them or anything, but this person needs to heal from whatever was done here. And I don't think that somebody here has a realistic perspective of that they were genuinely genuinely lacking in their behavior towards this person, and they also weren't listening to their intuition when they were interacting with this person, and they treated this person like a trophy or a gem, or they did something that didn't read as love to this person, and they were like, well, I gave you a car, or I gave you an apartment, or I gave you this, and so, but they're not recognizing that it was something that this person wasn't asking for, and it was the energy behind it and stuff. Like this person, somebody here was not like listening to their intuition, and they were an emperor wannabe, and they were kind of like doing things that they thought an emperor should do, but in doing so, they reduced this person somehow. And so this person's trying to heal from that. There's somebody here who's not going to do that. And this is somebody who's like, I think Spirit's trying to see, like, can you be this person's happiness? I think you might have it in you. you know? So like, can you see this person? Because there's maybe something about this person that's very beautiful or very attractive. It's multifaceted and it's different and it's unique. It's reminding me of the rainbow fish, for those of you that read that book when you were a kid. And the rainbow, it's kind of like the ugly duckling story where, and I think that whoever's from this person's past, and maybe this somebody here's leveling up. This is a big level up though, from the Four of Pentacles to the King of Cups. It's kind of like the ugly duckling, right? The rainbow fish, where it's, and I don't think they see that in this person, that this person is seen by others like they're a gem, but they don't see themselves that way. They actually feel like they need to heal. They're like, I don't know, they dream of happiness. They dream of like joy and like holding hands and stuff, but this person's not treated that way from jump. And so really ask yourself from jump, if you're this person from the past, because there's maybe a new person here who's got maybe an opportunity here of like, am I going to fuck this person over? Am I going to actually lead with love? So, but it's a slow approach, I feel like, because they're meant to observe this person. Maybe for some of you, this is an answer. Spirit's kind of answering if you're wondering, why have I been treated this way? And I think it's part of your healing is recognizing that you weren't treated this way because somebody devalued you, because somebody couldn't care less, is what I just heard. They couldn't care less to appropriately check in with you. That's what it feels like. Emotionally connect with you and to check the vibes and to make sure, like, is this what you want? Did you want this? Or did you want something else? Because I think people look at this person and they just assume that this person, they see this person like this. And this is an object and this is a person, as a reminder. But they see this person as this, and then they're like, oh, they kind of, I think, go into their mind about this person. Like, this person must want all the finest things, all the gems, all the like whatever. But nobody really emotionally connects with this person to ask what they want, because what this person wants is this. They want connection and happiness and going through a field, and they want like connection. And I think they want feminine connection. So if this is a feminine, then it could be the masculine in their lives, like keep fucking up their female friendships because they're trying to control this person or something like that. But nobody's really seen this person for what it is. And I think that they've degraded this person, or like they've treated this person badly. And then when this person has to, they don't know how to read this person's reaction, because this person needed to heal. So I feel like this person went away, and I think this person's like, oh, you know, I think they started to feel really insecure. But instead of saying I'm feeling insecure, you know, and like kind of processing through that, I think they made up a whole bunch of weird shit about this person. I think they were like, you're a narcissist. And that's why you had the reaction. What's really sad and what's really going to fuck this person up, whoever did this, is to realize that this person was hurt and needed to heal from whatever it is that they did from them. That's why they pulled back. They were sad and they withdrew in and of themselves. And I do feel like it was sort of a forced cocoon. I don't think this person intended that. I think they wanted happiness and joy, like with this person. But there is this like new person here, and it feels like maybe this, like, it's not, the cycle's not going to repeat, because this person's way further along than this Four of Pentacles. Look, yeah, and it's like Four of Pentacles and the Six of Cups and the Nine of Pentacles. Six of Cups, past card, friendship card. And this like being an independent person. So yeah, I think that like somebody here, or people from this person's past, always see this person as like a gem, and they always treat this person off, but they start off as friends to kind of like get close to this person. And then they never really see this person as a person. So they mess it up because they're an emperor wannabe, and they're coming from like a place of not listening to their intuition and like not trying to make any mistakes or whatever. But there's actually a King of Cups that's coming in here and maybe feels ignored by this person, but it's just because they're healing because of what they've been through with somebody else. And yeah, this King of Cups really sees this Four of Swords person, this gem person, as the Two of Cups, and that's what they would say. But I feel like for a lot of you, this might be this King of Cups energy that is looking at this this feminine, I want to say, this Four of Swords person, and they're like, why don't they see me? Or they don't see me as their Two of Cups. But this person's going to have a much healthier, much different reaction than this Four of Pentacles person or people that's been around them. Because I feel like this person's not taking it personally, and they're maybe thinking like, well, still, what would this person kind of say? And I think that they're going to relate, is how I think they're going to get close to this person. They're actually going to relate. They're going to kind of slowly approach, you know, and they're going to kind of like throw it out there that in an emotional way. They're going to give something emotionally, you know, like, hey, I noticed this or that. I feel like they're initiating something here on an emotional level. Something that says, hey, I see you, I notice you, and you've been maybe quiet, or you've been like pulled back or something here. And they're going to recognize that this person, basically they would say that they've had their heart broken. So this Four of Swords person would say that they've had their heart broken. They were betrayed in the past. They're a heart energy. This person is such a heart energy, but there's something about them that is so shiny. They're so multifaceted. And so who knows? God only knows who any person is what aspect of them somebody is connecting with. But this person's like all heart, basically. They're just a big, tender, juicy, beating heart. And they want to spread love and give love. It's really sweet. It's like a healthy inner child, kind of energy. But this person gets treated badly. They've been betrayed here. Their heart was betrayed here. And it's because somebody was insecure, immature, didn't have a lot to offer, and still was trying to get something for themselves out of this, because they see this person as very high value, and they kind of recognize that this person does, by their own admission, whoever this was, this person deserves the world. The Four of Pentacles does not have that to offer, but they still were like, let me try to fuck this person over. Like, essentially that's what it is. I don't think they were thinking about it that way, but I think they somebody here initiated a process that played out exactly, it couldn't have played out in any other way, and then they blamed this person for it, even though they were the one that hurt this person. And so this person would say that they were betrayed. Maybe they didn't know that they were being betrayed, and their heart hurts, but they have a heart. But if this person's emotionally unavailable, it's not because in their personality they're emotionally unavailable. It's because they're healing. They're going through a cocoon sort of period. But I feel like, again, they might not, remember what I said at the beginning of this, is that this person might not want to speak very much because they know that something here feels good to them. They know that it feels positive and correct, like whatever journey that they're going on. And it might be being alone for a while, but they don't necessarily want to talk about it because this person doesn't have staunch views about being alone or anything, but they know that they need to be alone for a while. And so if they say it, because it's kind of for them, like this part of their journey is like kind of for them. But if they say, I feel like this person, again, I just heard misused, misunderstood. Oh, that's a Pink song. Mistaken. Wait. Always second guessed and underestimated. Look, I'm still. Perfect. Oh my gosh, Perfect by Pink. And that music video always gets me because she like carves perfect into her arm here. This person is like self-hurting, self-harming. Oh, well, no, great. I already said it. They're going to flag this video, like whatever. They're not actually doing that. But I do feel like this person blamed themselves for the treatment that they received at the hands of another person, somebody that they thought was a friend, somebody who really looks at them like they're gorgeous or they're everything, but that they're like so independent. And that bothers this person. And somebody here, yeah, or who was watching them like engage with a friend. I don't know. And this person's really confused. They didn't understand. This person genuinely did not understand why they were treated a certain way, why they were branded with a certain iron. They don't know. And they blame themselves. This person really, really blamed themselves for a long time because this is a very giving, loving person. They're like, maybe I could have given enough. Maybe I wasn't as understanding. Maybe I gave them the wrong impression. No. Because this person could have led with emotional availability. They could have made a connection. Like, hey, is this what you want? Like whoever this was made a lot of assumptions about this person in order to treat them in a negative way. Now, if it's the King of Cups energy that you're asking, what do they want to say? They want a love connection here. They want to say, I love you. They want to say, I like you. You're special to me. They want to say, and for some of you, this might be this Four of Pentacles person, because there's a temptation thing to like kind of overcome with this person. And it could be just, I think it's actually spirit just looking out for this person. So it could be that somebody here fell for some type of temptation. Cause look, there's like the siren in the background. So, it's like, well, I fell for some kind of temptation, but I love you. And I'm actually holding myself, that they would say, I'm holding myself back because I don't want to hurt you. Maybe because I've been like frolicking around like with whoever this is or whatever temptation or vice this is. But I feel like I want to be in a loving space with you, and I want to be connected, and I want to play, and I want to, I want to do all those things. But this person's like having to heal. So what else would this King of Cups say? Okay, it's funny because okay, interesting. Well, it could be that this King of Cups, okay, because the King of Swords came out, and like, look at his face. Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but it's like I don't know, cold and like scrunched up and like pointing this. So it could be that this King of Cups, even though they're like emotionally available, they feel a certain way. They don't feel like this Four of Swords is like looking at them in a certain way. So they may actually be very limited with their words. They may point to some kind of code or like only say what they need to for their job, or they point out something, or it might even come off like kind of critical here. But it's just because they're defensive, because they feel all these emotions here, like for this person. So there's a difference here in these two energies. They're kind of coming across the same. This Four of Pentacles first person that hurt this person in the past, and this King of Cups. And it might be hard for this person to read the difference, but there is a major, major difference here between the Four of Pentacles and this King of Cups. And and that might be spirit coming in here to say that's why we have to heal this person up, because they have to be able to discern the difference here, because somebody went at this person. They did it acting like I didn't do anything wrong. Like this Four of Pentacles person has a long way to go. And they had some type of intuitive hit in regards to this person that they just did not listen to. And I think that they were meant to be this person's friend, actually. And they just didn't want that. So they did something wrong towards this person, and then they got angry and resentful towards this person. And then they said that this person was this gem in a bad way, that they just want a hard rock. And oh wait, I just heard a song. A hard rock, really? So, oh, don't be a hard rock when you know that you're a gem, or something like that. Like, I think this person was like, oh yeah, like this person like rejected me. And they did, but it's because they weren't meant to reject this person. This person had an intuition that they needed to be this person's friend. And they would not have been rejected by this person on a friendship level. They did not listen to their intuition here. That this person was looking for happiness, or they were looking for some kind of friendship. Somebody here pushed it with this person. And so they manufactured their own rejection from this person that they should not have, because they're supposed to not objectify people. That's like the lesson here. Well, that's not what's going on here with this King of Cups. That's an actual soulmate here, but maybe has to overcome some kind of temptation. And so he might, I don't know, just sever something here really quickly, or like be really not emotional in his like language or anything, but it's because he's trying to like be strategic, but it's because he's very defensive about the Ten of Cups, like feeling like he's defensive about the Ten of Cups, feeling the Ten of Cups for this Four of Swords person. Like, oh my God, I feel like that's my Ten of Cups. Like I have a lot of love for this person. Like, holy shit, that's a gem. But they're actually being like, I have a lot of love for this person. They're seeing that this person's a gem, but they also feel like this person is not available, or like they're not looking at them. It's because they've been through something here, man. And they're also maybe defensive because they're like, well, who do you love? I just heard, who do you love? Because this Four of Pentacles person's all up in this person's face, doing shit that they shouldn't be doing, that now this person has to heal from. And so now that's confusing them, because they know that they love this person, and they're like, I think that we're soulmates, and I think that you love me too. And this person's like, well, I could love you if I was emotionally available, but I'm not, because this little pipsqueak over here, pipsqueak, because this is like their biggest fear, is being called like a pipsqueak or something. And it's like they're supposed to be up next to this person to learn something, but they're supposed to be friends. Yeah, and so now they're like defensive about that, and it's like, well, which way do I go? Which is, and they're like, maybe they are being asked to go like their own separate way here for a while, just to let this person heal, because this person's jittery. Like, this person's heartbroken, and their heart needs to be the one to kind of lead them to this King of Cups. So this King of Cups is actually going to show up probably like the King of Swords. So, okay, so they would be describing all of this basically. This King of Cups would be like, well, I was the King of Swords because I got nervous, and I was short, and only talk to you about work or something because I was nervous and I was defensive about like who you love and everything. And I didn't want to take a chance and like break my own heart, and like, or have this be like a permanent painful ending here between the two of us. And I think this person was asked to like go be in hermit mode and to find the truth. And again, the truth is that there's people maneuvering around in this situation to try to make this person like their lovers, when these two are soulmates. But that's a karmic cycle here. And I really don't think this person saw it coming, the Four of Swords. I think that this Four of Swords person blamed themselves for a long period of time. Which is, again, why they have to heal up. They blame themselves because they were like, did I lead this person on? Because this is a beautiful fucking person. This is a beautiful person, like genuinely on the inside. And I think that Mr. Scrooge over here, like, is misreading that and then blaming and saying, well, you led me on. And this person, I think maybe, or energetically, this is what's going on. And this person's like, did I lead this person on? Did I do the wrong thing? Did I say the wrong thing? Did I bring that about? Was I not a good friend? Was I this or was I that? Like, and the answer is no, like for this person over here. But this is somebody who's like very prone to taking on way too much accountability. And then you got somebody over here who takes absolutely none at all and then wonders why they don't sprout and they don't grow and they don't get like things. It's because they're trying to get themselves into places that they think is going to advantage themselves. But they're not listening to their intuition, because their intuition is that maybe they need to transform. Their intuition is that they need to transform here. And this is, I feel like, the pile number 1 person. And remember I was saying that I feel like pile number 3 could have been conflated with pile number 1, or this. So pile number 1 person is definitely this like 4 of Pentacles. And because this guy is like, I want to say this is a man, but this could be a woman. It is not able to take accountability for themselves, which is the karma that they're injecting in this situation. It's their own karma. They could have painted this person as the pile number 1 person, as some kind of snake. And they also, in I want to say her mind, could have painted this King of Cups as being the same. Oh, she's going to see this and be like, that's the same fucking energy of this over here that, you know, doesn't look at me like I'm a person, doesn't understand that I have this beautiful personality that wants to connect with people, and I should be allowed to do that. I should be allowed to have friends. And Spirit was trying to get this person some friends. I mean, it was that, but Spirit was trying to get them that is their friend. So this person needs to learn how to be friends and also learn how to be independent. This 4 of Pentacles. So there's a lot of people talking here in this pile. And it's like a headache, you know? Like, I think whoever would, besides this person, because this person's the cause of the headache, but these other 2 people here, these, I want to say 2 soulmates, like they would say, this has really been a headache to deal with. Like, I'm injured. I think both these people will be like, I'm injured from this situation. I'm injured. And yeah, and I want happiness and I want there to be healing and I want, what's the truth? Like I've had, because this person has needed to work out the truth that they're not responsible for whatever the fuck that person did. And also they're not responsible for this person falling for some kind of temptation, even though they love this person so much. If they did, it's not on this person. Some of these people got a double whammy. Or I don't know, or like a 1-2 punch here. But there is somebody that's trying to connect with this person. It's a new person and it's a King of Cups energy and it's a soulmate energy. And this person is meant to be with this person and see this person and love this person as a person and not as an object. And they're meant to see the truth of this person and be around and demonstrate what that looks like to somebody like this that's looking at this person as an object. This is all a lesson in love. But I also just heard Jody Messina, lesson in leaving. Somebody's going to give you a lesson in leaving somebody. It's going to give you back what you've been given. And I hope that I'm around. I feel like that's the way that this person would say that, you know, oh, somebody's going to give you a lesson in leaving somebody. And I hope that I'm around for that. And this person is like, ow. This person's like, why? I'm such a loving person and I don't understand why people like continue to just like treat me very, very harshly. Like, and they don't understand it's because people look at them like a trophy and people look at them like they don't get it because to them people are this person's a son. Like they're very happy. They're so happy to connect. And in order to be happy to connect, you got to see other people as people, as humans. And that's not going on here. So, and then they maybe are even like looking at this. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. They want this King of Cups to be the King of Swords to this person. And maybe. Yeah, because they see this kind of teamwork love energy between the 2 of them. They don't like it. It makes them feel small, which is correct. They are small. So this is what I mean is like the empath in a lot of us wants to be like, oh, you're not small, but they are though. You're not helping anybody out by not allowing this person, because when this person doesn't have to deal with the fact that they're small, they are definitely small. These 2 people are injured. Again, I'm hearing that I'm very injured. and this is a soulmate connection, and they can't have what they want, and now you're advocating here that somebody should be treated like an object. No. This person is small, and it's okay to say, nope, you're a small person and you need to change. And also you need to figure out how to listen to your intuition, because your intuition was telling you that you need to be a friend to this person. And there could have even been a moment where it's like, no, you needed to be a friend for this person. And instead they tried to that's the truth. And they also need to tell the truth here. And they don't want to tell the truth. So a lot of people are talking here. I hope you can kind of suss out here, this person saying, I don't want to tell the truth, because it makes me look like a chump. The truth is that I should have been this person's friend. I didn't know how to do that. So I treated them poorly, and that this person has to heal from me. And if you found that out about me, I feel like I'm going to lose friends. So this person, I feel like is learning how to have friends. But the starting point, the literal actual starting point, because I feel like that's where we're at with this person. And I have an attitude because of the way that they treat people. But the literal starting point is to have a friend first view people as people and let that guide you. Let that guide you forward. Because if you see them as people, you know that they have emotions and that they have their own goals in life, and they have their own things that they would want. And if you don't fit that, it doesn't have to be because you're not good enough. It could be because you're just not it for that person. And that's great, because that's how we all get where we're trying to go. But this person will personalize it so much, they need to be alone, and they need to level up to be the hermit. And these two people would be like, I'm so confused. This person would be like, I'm disoriented and scared and checked out, and I need a nap for 1,000 years. And if spirit wants to put a dragon in a castle around me, I'm fine with that. And make people have to overcome their own temptations to get to me. I feel like this person is a blessing, just actually a blessing here. And then this person would be like, I really love you, but I haven't been showing it because I'm confused and I'm scared. May these people find peace by what they've contributed. May you have the day you deserve. Yeah. So there's a lot here, and everybody's so confused because of this person, really, because of this person's. And actually, I feel like these are probably all soulmates, because I feel like these two it is kind of like mommy and daddy a bit. That's this is the bird that we've been trying to kick out of the nest a bit. It's well, they got to learn somehow. It's these are two kind of older souls, I feel like, that are well, I mean, how are they going to learn if they don't try? So, and they're learning their own, it feels like higher order lessons, how to see through the fog that somebody here, and how to let this person take the burden of their own shame is what I want to say. Judgment energy. So that's what needs to get sorted out here, the judgment energy. And again, I'm hearing from pile number 1, when I was saying about the critical thing, this person has been improperly critical and judgmental of this person that they hurt because they can't accept the truth. But and so they've maybe inflicted a judgment energy here that shouldn't be there. Because again, it's well, who do you love? This person's well, who do you love? I don't know. And this person's I thought that person was my friend. And so I let them up close to me. And then I turned my back for a second, or I had a vulnerable moment. And then this person just ambushed me, and it's not what I wanted. And I pulled away immediately. And then I was trying to heal, and I cried all the time. And then everybody started calling me this nasty, cold bitch. When actually I'm just multifaceted. And I've been really misunderstood. And so I pull away, and I'm actually very social. This person would say I'm actually very social. I'm actually very loving, and I'm very joyous. And I'm very emotionally available when I'm not, when I don't have 3 swords stuck into my heart, it does function. And I'm not trying to make you feel a certain way. It's just that this guy is around. This person who was supposed to be my friend is around. So I can't be around. That's what they would say. Yeah, this person is the Empress. And this person would be well, I see that too. I thought that you liked this person. And I did like this person. I like this person as a friend. That wasn't good enough for them. So they ambushed me, or they harmed me in some way. And so your King of Swords energy needs to go over here. And then your King of Cups energy can go over here. Yeah. So everything that these people had to say goes around a judgment energy. And I do feel like there's some type of judgment here on this situation. This, to me, is like Persephone. They got swallowed up. And her judgment energy is that kind of natural Persephone energy, which is the world is not all good and sunshine and roses, and not everybody does want to connect with you. And so something else will develop in her. And I did just see the owl, another goddess energy. Okay, so I think that was very confusing. This is like a very hairy situation, or it has been in the past. And this is a karmic knot. And the karmic, there's a karmic here that's causing all these problems between these two for their own selfishness, their own like greed. And this is what I'm getting, their own greed. And the problems that they need to be taking accountability for. I look at people like they're objects, and then I treat them like they're objects, and they don't seem to like that. And they then have to heal, which means they go dark, or their personality changes entirely. That's something that this person needs to take accountability for instead of smear campaigning around here. It has like a deep effect. It also like when people get abused, because I feel like that Four of Swords energy, sometimes they can fawn, in order to try to make themselves feel safe, or like it's hard for them to comprehend what somebody did to them. That a little bit of that might be going on here as well. Okay. Who the King of Cups is? The King of Cups is a soulmate energy. And the soulmate energy could be from your past, somebody that was confused with a Four of Pentacles energy. And that Four of Pentacles energy, I feel like, is pile number 1. But that King of Cups, there had a temptation. If this is somebody from the past, they had a temptation that they had to overcome. And that is basically spirit saying, this is a castle and this is a dragon. And that's because there's something of real value behind here. So you have to overcome that in order to get your spiritual inheritance. You have to overcome that. So that's if the King of Cups from the past. But the King of Cups could be somebody who is new, like an entirely new person. That's a soulmate. That's just meeting the Four of Swords person. And if they're just meeting that Four of Swords person, they're confused because they feel a lot of love for this person. And they kind of are freaked out, and they're defensive because they're thinking, I think that person's my soulmate. But they don't seem to be emotionally available. Or they're in Four of Swords energy. They don't feel like they're looking at me. They don't feel like they're connecting like around at all, really. So I'm confused. I don't really know what to do. And so what's being worked out here, and what would they say, is that this Four of Swords person would say, like, I've been through a lot. I'm hurt and I'm healing. It's not that I'm not interested in you. It's not that I don't see your worth or your value. It's not that I'm not feeling the same way. I can't feel the same way because my heart has 3 swords in it, and it's hurting. And when I tap into my heart energy, all I feel is the pain of the 3 swords of when I let people get close to me, I get betrayed, because all I wanted was to connect with people in a very friendly way. And so spirit moved me around somebody that needed a karmic test in friendship, and they saw me as not a person. And so that's why I'm acting the way that I'm acting. It's not, it's not reflecting on you, but I might also need some time here to heal. So that King of Cups is like, I don't really know what to do, but I feel like is meant to move closer, but not in a King of Swords energy, because they're confused about the signals that they're getting from this person and whether or not they feel the same way. They're supposed to overcome some type of temptation in themselves, and then they're supposed to move forward in a watery, connected kind of space, because the Swords energy is what they recognize as being stabbed in their heart, and that's what's going to confuse this person about, are you this King of Cups? Or are you this other Four of Pentacles? Are you another round of this Four of Pentacles? Because I really had enough, And so that's what needs to be worked out here. There's a lot that actually needs to be conversed about here in this like kind of karmic situation. But it's hard to do when this person who kind of started it and who's at the lowest vibration here won't take accountability. And what they're contributing in here is a whole lot of confusion and a whole lot of denial and a whole lot of like delusional thinking. And in order to cope with the rejection that they feel, that they should never have felt in the first place, because there was not a rejection here from this person, from the Four of Swords person. There was not one to begin with, because they were meant to be friends. And this person needed to listen to their intuition. So they manufactured a rejection here for themselves they pushed it. They pushed it here with somebody that they shouldn't have. And then they didn't know how to read that person's reaction, because they couldn't admit to themselves that they did something wrong. And that person is rightfully healing. And that whatever mask they're seeing is putting up some type of guard. If I don't want to seem emotionally affected because I feel so hurt by this, I will just cry, and my innocence was stolen. That's what it feels like for the Four of Swords person. My innocence was stolen because I'm the sun and I'm a heart walking around. I want to connect with people. And probably this person's very romantic and they do want to find like their one soulmate person, but they also want friends, and they feel like everybody can be their friends, right? And then they got proved wrong, possibly 3 times here. 3 swords. Like there's some kind of pattern here. And then that person, the 4 of Swords person, is like, I think that there's something wrong with me, and they're taking on way too much of the blame here. Possibly socially, because if this person can't keep their trap shut, the 4 of Pentacles, because they feel embarrassed instead of saying like, I should have just been this person's friend. They love me, actually, as a friend. They're not cold. They're not this or they love me as a friend, and I couldn't handle that. It made me feel small. It made me feel a type of way that this person didn't want a romance with me. That's what it was. But then this King of Cups person, if they're from that situation, if it's unfolding similarly, they're saying, well, do you want to be with that person? Because this person's leading with, the 4 of Pentacles person's leading with bravado. They're not being honest with themselves or anybody else. And they need to clear it up. And these two can clear it up between the 2 of them. But it's just that they really need this person to own up to what they did. But like this King of Cups person can lead with the watery energy and not the swords energy, but doesn't want to, because they're putting up the swords energy, and they might be trying to keep it on a professional level, or they might be trying to keep it short, but it's just because they are having trouble reading this person. So, okay. Yeah, deal. If only she had better boundaries. That's exactly the kind of gaslighting that she would believe, and that would be kind of pushed towards her. Yeah. He's 80. Oh my. I feel like my innocence was dented, but no one can take my innocence. And yes, this was a pattern. Yeah. See, that's some healing energy right there. Those swords are rebuked. Yeah. She has excellent boundaries. They cross. Yeah. Thank you 1,000 times. Okay. And I hope, because a lot of times when people do say that, I have a question, like maybe it's a lot of people are feeling that same way. So I hope that, okay. Dang, I feel this is one of the readings where I feel bad. I don't know why, I just feel bad. Okay. I won 3 times what a jackass. This guy is probably no noble. Oh my goodness. Hearing Ivy by Taylor. Yeah. Hey, chin up. Okay. So I feel like, okay, because remember I just said, this is one thing too, that like, I always forget about myself for some reason, because the way that I channel, I feel things in my body the way that the person is feeling it. And so a lot of times, like when it's the reading and I'm like, I feel bad, I feel bad. Like it's somebody here's like feeling really, really bad. And I feel like everyone in this situation is just feeling really, really bad. Okay. Thank you guys for sticking in this. I feel like this one was really, really tough. And I don't know if that's just because I'm still in this energy, or if this was actually a tough reading. Okay. So we're going to move on to the book, Codependent No More by Melody Beattie. And we finished we did the introduction in chapter 1 last time. So we'll see how long chapter 2 is. And then if we want to do chapter 3, then we'll do chapter 3. Oh yeah. Talking to trees today. It must be so hard to take on energies and try to describe it. I think it's harder than I kind of give it credit for sometimes. Yeah. But it's like, I don't know. Maybe it is harder than I realize. If I could just keep remembering like the way that you're feeling is the way that this person's feeling, it would be a little bit better for me. I love him as an equal, but he doesn't want to respect my soul, only image. Yeah. Enjoy your book. Okay, bye, Beth. Okay, somebody did a super chat. Underdog Tarot, thank you so much for the super chat. Okay, so here we go with our book. Chapter 2. Other stories. When I say I'm codependent, I don't mean I'm a little bit codependent. I mean I'm really codependent. I don't marry men who stop for a few beers after work. I marry men who won't work. Ellen, an Al-Anon member. Maybe you identified with my story in the last chapter. It's an example of codependency, but it's not the only type of codependency. There are as many variations of my story as there are people to tell them. Here are a few. Jason, a handsome and personable man in his early 40s, has called himself a success in business but a failure in relationships with women. During high school and college, Jason dated many women. He was popular and considered a good catch. However, after graduation, Jason stunned his family and friends when he married Lisa. Lisa treated Jason worse than any other woman he had dated. She was cool and hostile towards Jason and his friends, shared few interests with him, and didn't seem to care much for or about him. 13 years later, the marriage ended in divorce when Jason discovered that some things he had suspected for years were true. Lisa had been dating other men since they were married, and she was and had been for some time abusing alcohol and other drugs. Jason was devastated, but after mourning for about 2 months, he fell wildly in love with another woman who was a start in the morning and drink till she passed out alcoholic. After spending several months worrying about her, trying to help her, trying to figure out what he was doing that caused her to drink, trying to control her drinking, and ultimately getting angry with her because she wouldn't stop drinking, Jason terminated the relationship. Soon he met another woman, fell in love with her, and moved into her apartment. Within months, Jason suspected she, too, was chemically dependent. Jason began spending much of his time worrying about his girlfriend. He checked up on her, rummaged through her purse looking for pills or other evidence, and questioned her about her activities. Sometimes he simply denied she had a problem. During those times, he kept busy, tried to enjoy his time with her, although he said he felt uneasy, and told himself, "It's just me, something's wrong with me." During one of the many crises in his most recent relationship, when Jason was temporarily jolted out of denial, he went to a chemical dependency counselor for advice. "I don't know, I should end the relationship," Jason said, "but I'm just not ready to let her go. We can talk about anything and everything together. We're such good friends and I love her. Why? Why does this always happen to me?" He confided, "Give me a room full of women and I'll fall in love with the one with the most problems, the one who will treat me the worst. They're more of a challenge. If a woman treats me too well, it turns me off." Jason considered himself a social drinker who had never had problems as a result of his drinking. He told the counselor he'd never used drugs. His older brother had abused alcohol since he was a teenager. For many years, Jason adamantly denied that either of his deceased parents had been alcoholics, but as time passed, he reluctantly admitted that his dad, a restaurant/bar owner, may have drank too much. The counselor suggested the alcoholism and excessive drinking in Jason's immediate family may still be affecting him in his relationships. Quote, "How could their problems be affecting me?" Jason asked. "Dad has been dead for years and I rarely see my brother." After a few counseling sessions, Jason began to identify his codependent behaviors, but he wasn't sure exactly what that meant or what to do about it. When he became less angry about the immediate problem in his relationship, he discontinued counseling. Jason decided his girlfriend's problems with drugs weren't that bad. He became convinced his problems with women were his fault. He was attracted to women who were trouble. Maybe one day he'd get tired of the drama and change his pattern. Patricia was in her mid-30s. This is a different story entirely. Patricia was in her mid-30s and had been married for 11 years when she sought help from a private therapist. She had 3 children, the youngest of whom had cerebral palsy. Patricia had given up her career to devote herself to raising her kids. She told her therapist she loved her children and didn't regret her decision to stay home, but hated her daily routine. Before her marriage, Patricia had many friends and interests. She worked as a nurse and liked to be active, going on hikes, working out, and even training for marathons. However, in the years following the birth of her children, particularly her child with disabilities, she had lost her enthusiasm for life. She had few friends and gained over 80 pounds, didn't know what she was feeling, and if she did, she felt guilty for feeling that way. She had tried to stay active by doing volunteer work at her kids' school, but her efforts usually resulted in feelings of ineffectiveness and resentment. She thought about returning to work, but she didn't because, as she told her therapist, quote, "All I know is nursing and I'm sick of taking care of people." She also shared, "My family and friends think I'm a tower of strength. Good old dependable Patty, always there, always in control, always ready to help. The truth is I'm falling apart, very quietly but very certainly. I've been depressed for years. I can't shake it. I cry at the drop of a hat. I don't have any energy. I scream at the kids all the time. I don't have any interest in sex, at least not with my husband. I feel guilty all the time about everything. I even feel guilty about coming to see you," she told the therapist. "Therapy is a ridiculous waste of time and money. I should be able to solve my own problems. I should be able to just snap out of this, but I had to do something. Lately, I've been thinking about schmooicide," Patricia confessed. "Of course, I'd never actually do it. Too many people need me. Too many people depend on me, but I'm worried and scared." Patricia told the therapist that before their marriage, her husband had a problem with alcohol. After they got married, he drank less, had held the same job, and was well liked at work. But when the therapist pressed her, Patricia revealed that her husband did not attend AA meetings or any other support group. Instead, he would be sober for months and then fall off the wagon and go on a weekend drinking binges. When he drank, he lost his mind. When he wasn't drinking, he was angry and hostile. "I don't know what happened to him. He's not the man I married. What's even more frightening is I don't know what's happening to me or who I am," Patricia said. "It's difficult to explain exactly what the problem is. I don't understand myself. There's no major problem I can point to and say, that's what's wrong, but it feels like I've lost myself. At times, I wonder if I'm losing it. What's wrong with me?" Maybe your husband is an alcoholic and your problems are caused by the family disease of alcoholism, the therapist would suggest. How can that be? Patricia asked. Most of the time, my husband doesn't drink. The therapist dug into Patricia's background. Patricia talked with fondness about her parents and her 2 adult brothers. She came from a good family that was close and successful. The therapist dug deeper. Patricia had mentioned that her father had attended AA since she was a teenager. Dad sobered up when I was in high school, she said. I really loved him and I'm proud of him, but his drinking years were a pretty crazy time for our family. Patricia was not only married to someone who was probably an alcoholic, but was also what's called an adult child of an alcoholic. The entire family had been affected by the family disease of alcoholism. Her dad had stopped drinking, her mother went to Al-Anon, but Patricia too had been affected. Was she expected to magically overcome the ways that she'd been affected just because the drinking stopped? Instead of suggesting ongoing therapy, Patricia's therapist referred to her self-esteem course and assertiveness training class. The therapist who also recommended Patricia attend Al-Anon meetings or Adult Children of Alcoholics, ACOA meetings, which are self-help groups based on the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Patricia followed the therapist's advice. She didn't find an overnight cure, but as the months passed, she found herself making decisions with greater ease, expressing her feelings, saying what she thought, paying attention to her needs, and feeling less guilty. She became more tolerant of herself and her daily routine. Gradually, her depression lifted. She cried less and laughed more. Her energy and enthusiasm for life returned. Incidentally, with no prodding from Patricia, her husband joined AA. He became less hostile and their marriage began to improve. The point here is that Patricia gained control of her life. Her life started working. Now, if you ask Patricia what her problem is or was, she will answer, I'm codependent. Okay, another story. Or like another section here. Clients who seek help from mental health and chemical dependency agencies are not the only people who suffer from codependency. Randall was a chemical codependency counselor and recovering alcoholic with several years of sobriety when he found himself struggling with codependency. Randall was also an adult child of an alcoholic. His father, 3 brothers were alcoholics. He was an intelligent, sensitive man who enjoyed his work, but problem was his leisure time. He spent most of it worrying about, obsessed with other people and their problems. Sometimes he tried to untangle messes that alcoholics created. Other times he felt angry with them for creating the messes he felt obligated to clean up. Sometimes he felt upset because people, not necessarily alcoholics, behaved in particular ways. He ranted and felt guilty, sorry, and used by people. Rarely, however, did he feel close to them. Rarely did he have fun. For many years, Randall believed his duty was to worry about people and get involved in their problems. He called his behavior kindness, concern, love, and sometimes righteous indignation. Now, after getting help for his problem, he calls it codependency. Next section. Sometimes codependent behavior becomes inextricably entangled with being a good wife, mother, father, friend, child, or worker. Sometimes it's entangled with religion. Now in her 40s, Marilys is an attractive woman when she takes care of herself. Most of the time, however, she's busy taking care of her 5 children and her husband, who is a recovering alcoholic. She devoted her life to making them happy, but she hasn't succeeded. Usually she feels angry and unappreciated for her efforts. Her family feels angry at her. She has sex with her husband whenever he wants, regardless of how she feels. She spends too much of the family's budget on whatever toys and clothing the children wants. She chauffeurs, reads, cooks for, cleans, cuddles, and coddles those around her, but nobody gives to her. Most of the time, they don't even say thank you. Marilys resents her constant giving to the people in her life. She resents how her family and needs control her life. She chose teaching as her profession and often resents that. But I feel guilty when I say no. I feel guilty when I don't live up to my standards of what a wife and mother should be. I feel guilty when I don't live up to other people's expectations of me. I feel guilty all the time, she said. In fact, I schedule my days, my priorities, according to guilt. Does endlessly taking care of other people, resenting it, and expecting nothing in return mean Marilys is a good wife and mother? Or could it mean she's codependent? Next section. Substance abuse is not the only family problem that can create codependency. Alyssa, the mother of 2 teenagers, worked part-time at a mental health organization when she sought out a new family counselor because her oldest child, a 16-year-old boy, was constantly causing problems. He ran away, stayed out past his curfew, skipped school, smoked weed, and generally did whatever he wanted whenever he wanted. This child, Alyssa told the counselor, is driving me crazy. She meant it. She was worried sick. Some days, she was so depressed and troubled, she couldn't get out of bed. Alyssa had tried everything she could to help this child. She'd placed him in treatment 3 times. She sent him to teenage boot camp, and he dragged the whole family from counselor to counselor. Alyssa had tried other techniques too. She had threatened, cried, hollered, and begged. She had gotten tough and called the police on him. She had tried gentleness and forgiveness. She'd even tried acting like he hadn't done the inappropriate things. She had locked him out, and after she traveled halfway across the state to bring him home after he ran away, although her efforts hadn't helped her son, Alyssa was obsessed with finding and doing the one thing that would, quote, make him see the error of his ways and help him change. Why is he doing this to me? She asked the counselor. He's running and ruining my life. The counselor agreed that the problem with Alyssa's son was painful, upsetting, and required action, but the problem also didn't have to ruin and run Alyssa's life. You haven't been able to control your son, but you can gain control of yourself, the counselor said. You can deal with your own codependency. Next section. Cheryl, a successful fashion model, also labels herself a codependent. Shortly after marrying the man of her dreams, she found herself in a nightmare. Her husband, she learned, had a schmegs addiction. In his case, that meant he was addicted to pornography. He was also compulsively drawn into affairs with other women, and as Cheryl put it, quote, God only knows what and who else. She learned about his addiction 1 week after their wedding when she discovered him in bed with another woman. 1 week after your wedding. Oh my God. Cheryl's first response was panic. Then she got angry. Then she felt concern for her husband and his problem. Her friends advised her to leave him, but she decided to stay in the marriage. He needed help. He needed her. Maybe he would change. Wasn't she enough? Her husband joined Schmegs Addicts Anonymous. Sorry, I just heard that that's notoriously a place like where people go there and then like they're around other addicts and like they easily like relapse. But that was me interjecting. I'm sorry. A 12-step self-help group similar to Alcoholics Anonymous. Cheryl refused to join COSA, similar to Al-Anon, for family members of Schmegs addicts. She didn't want to go public with her problems. She didn't even want to discuss them privately. Over several months, Cheryl found herself accepting fewer work assignments, turning down evenings out with friends, and sticking closer to home. She compulsively checked her husband's cell phone. She wanted to be home when he left the house and there when he returned. She wanted to see what he looked like, how he acted, and how he talked. She wanted to know exactly what he was doing and who he was doing it with. She often called his SAA sponsor to complain, to report, and to inquire about her husband's progress. She refused, she said, to be tricked and deceived again. Gradually, she alienated herself from friends and activities. She was too anxious to work, too ashamed to talk to her friends. Soon enough, she caught her husband cheating on her again. Her friends were frustrated with her for staying with him. Quote, I couldn't stand the sight of him. I felt nothing but contempt for him. Yeah, I couldn't bring myself to leave, Cheryl reported later. I couldn't make myself do much of anything except worry and obsess over him, she said. My turning point was the night I chased him with a butcher knife. It was an absolute low point. I was running through the house screaming at him when I suddenly became aware for the first time of me. I had gone completely mad. I was crazy, out of control, and he just stood there calmly looking at me. I knew then I had to get help for me. Cheryl joined COSA shortly after that incident and began to label her loss of control as codependency. She is now separated from her husband and seeking a divorce. She is also feeling better about herself. Next section. Although the preceding examples have been dramatic, codependency doesn't necessarily have to be so intense, and it doesn't always involve experiences with deeply troubled people. Kristen is married, has 2 young children, and knows of no alcoholism or compulsive disorders in her immediate or extended family, yet she calls herself codependent. Her problem, she says, is that other people's moods control her emotions. She, in turn, tries to control their feelings. Quote, I'm a people pleaser, she said. If my husband isn't happy and I feel responsible for that, then I'm happy. If he's upset, I often feel responsible for that too. Then I become anxious, uncomfortable, and upset until he feels better. I try to make him feel better. I feel guilty if I can't, and he gets angry with me for trying. And it's not only with him that I behave codependently, she said. It's with everyone, my parents, my children, guests in my home. Somehow I just seem to lose myself in other people. I get enmeshed in them. I'd like to do something about it, this thing called codependency, before it gets any worse. I'm not terribly unhappy, but I'd like to learn how to relax and start enjoying myself and other people. A colleague of mine summarized the condition this way. Some people are really codependent, and some of us are a little bit codependent. I chose the preceding examples because they represent a variety of experiences. They also illuminate a point that needs to be made. No single example illustrates codependency or the typical codependent experience. Codependency is complex. People are complex. Each person is unique, and each person's situation is different. Some people have extremely painful and debilitating experiences with codependency. Others don't and may only be mildly affected. Sometimes codependency is a person's response to another person's substance abuse. Sometimes it isn't. Each person who struggles with codependency has a unique experience born of their circumstances, history, and personality. Yet a common thread runs through all stories of codependency. It involves our responses and reactions to the people around us. It involves our relationships with other people, whether they are substance abusers, gamblers, schmegs addicts, overeaters, or so-called normal people. Codependency involves the effects these people have on us and how we in turn try to affect them. As Al-Anon members say, identify, don't compare. The activity here for this one, I'm going to read chapter 3 as well, but the activity here, in case you want to do it, is did you identify with any people in this chapter? What resonated with you and why? And number 2, are you involved in any relationships right now that feel out of control to you? Okay. Just going to go straight into chapter 3. Codependency. Relationships are like a dance with visible energy racing back and forth between partners. Some relationships are are the slow, dark dance of death. Colette Dowling, The Cinderella Complex. Ooh, that sounds like a good book. Okay. Up to this point, I've been using the words codependent and codependency as lucid terms. However, the definitions of these words remain vague. The definition of chemical codependency is being dependent psychologically and or physically on alcohol or other drugs. Overeating and gambling are also words that bring specific actions to mind. But what is codependency? The obvious definition is being a partner in dependency. This definition is close to the truth, but still unclear. It brings no specific action to mind. Codependency is treatment-centered jargon, professional slang that is probably unintelligible to people outside of that profession, and even gibberish to some inside the trade. Jargon may mean different things to different people, or even if people can sense what a term means, they might not be able to define it clearly because it's never been clearly defined. Those are some of the problems I've encountered with researching and attempting to define codependency and codependent. Many people haven't heard the term or can't define them. Those who can define them each offer a different definition or rely on more jargon. To complicate matters for many years, I couldn't find the words in any dictionaries. My computer would tag them as misspelled, trying to convince me they weren't real words. Yet codependency does have a particular and important definition to me and millions of other people. Let's get rid of the jargon and look at the meaning. What's codependency? In an article from the book Codependency, An Emerging Issue, Robert Suby writes that codependency is an emotional, psychological, and behavioral condition that develops as a result of an individual's prolonged exposure to and practice of a set of oppressive rules. Rules which prevent the open expression of feeling, as well as the direct discussion of personal and interpersonal problems. Ernie Larson, another codependency specialist and a pioneer in the field, defines codependency as those self-defeating learned behaviors or character defects that result in a diminished capacity to initiate or participate in loving relationships. Some less professional definitions are as follows. One woman said, codependency means that I'm a caretaker. Another responded, being codependent means I'm married to an alcoholic. It also means that I need to go to Al-Anon. Codependency, replied another, means I'm up to my elbows in alcoholics. It means I'm always looking for someone to glom onto. Codependency? It means I know any man I'm attracted to, fall in love with, or marry will be chemically dependent or have some other equally serious problem. Codependency, said one person, is knowing all your relationships will either go on and on the same way painfully or end the same way disastrously, or both. There are almost as many definitions of codependency as there are experiences that represent it. In desperation, or perhaps enlightenment, some therapists proclaim codependency is anything and everyone is codependent. So who's got the inside story? Which definition is accurate? A brief history of codependency will help answer this question. A brief history. The word codependency appeared on the treatment scene in the late 1970s. I don't know who discovered it, although several people may claim to have done so. The word emerged more or less simultaneously in several different treatment centers in Minnesota, according to information from the office of Sandra Smalley, a licensed psychologist and a leader in the codependency field. Maybe Minnesota, the heartland of chemical dependency treatment and 12-step programs for compulsive disorders, discovered it. Robert Suby and John Friel, in an article from the book Codependency, An Emerging Issue, originally it was used to describe the person or persons whose lives were affected as a result of their being involved with someone who was chemically dependent. The codependent spouse or child or lover of someone who was chemically dependent was seen as having developed a pattern of coping with life that was not healthy as a reaction to someone else's drug or alcohol abuse. It was a new name for an old game. Professionals had long suspected something peculiar happened to those who were closely involved with chemically dependent people. Some research had been done on the subject, indicating a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual condition similar to alcoholism seemed to appear in many who did not struggle with alcoholism or chemical dependence, but were close with someone who did. Words, more jargon that would later become synonymous with codependent, surfaced to describe this phenomenon: co-alcoholic, non-alcoholic, para-alcoholic. Codependents certainly felt the effects of codependency long before the word was coined. In the 1940s, after the birth of Alcoholics Anonymous, a group of people, primarily wives of alcoholics, formed a self-help support groups to deal with the ways their spouses' alcoholism affected them. They didn't know that they would later be called codependents. They did know that they had been directly affected by their mate's alcoholism, and they were envious that alcoholics had a 12-step program to help them through recovery. The wives also wanted a program, so they used the 12 steps, revised the AA 12 traditions, changed its name to Al-Anon, and it worked. Millions of people have since benefited from Al-Anon. The basic thought, both then and in the late 70s, when the word codependency emerged, was that codependents, co-alcoholics, or para-alcoholics were people whose lives had become unmanageable due to living in committed relationships with alcoholics. However, the definition for codependency has expanded since then. Professionals began to better understand the effects of a person's chemical dependency on the family and the effects of the family on the person struggling with chemical dependency. They also began to identify other problems, such as overeating and undereating, gambling, and certain schmegulal behaviors. These compulsive disorders paralleled the compulsive disorder or illness of alcoholism. Many people in close relationships with these compulsive people developed patterns of reacting and coping that resembled the coping patterns of people in relationships with alcoholics. Something peculiar had happened to these families too. As professionals began to understand codependency better, more groups of people appeared to have it. Adult children of alcoholics, people in relationships with emotionally or mentally disturbed persons, people whose patterns had chronic illnesses, parents of children with behavior problems, people in relationships with irresponsible partners, professionals, nurses, social workers, and others in helping occupations. Even recovering alcoholics and addicts noticed that they were codependent and perhaps had been so long before becoming chemically dependent. Codependence started cropping up everywhere. When a codependent discontinued their relationship with a troubled person, the codependent frequently sought another troubled person and repeated the codependent behaviors with that new person. These behaviors or coping mechanisms seemed to prevail throughout the codependent's life if they didn't change these behaviors. I just want to pause there because I'm remembering in pile number 2 when I said something like Spirit is trying to get you to understand the Virgo energy, the patterns and the details through the scorpionic lens, the depth. And they said, I can send you another person, but it's going to start you all over because you have to go through the drama of it and the highs of it and the breakup of it. But we'd rather you understand the patterns. And for some of you in pile number 2, the pattern could be codependency, or something like this, that this has a name. And that if you get out of one relationship with a troubled person, if you don't solve these things fully and truly down to their core and where it came from, then you're just going to get into a relationship with another troubled person because that's the pattern. Okay. So what, was it safe to assume codependency was triggered through relationships with people who have serious illnesses, behavior problems, or destructive compulsive disorders? Alcoholism in the family helped create codependency, but many other circumstances seemed to produce it too. One common denominator was having a relationship, professionally or personally, with troubled, needy, or dependent people. But a second, more common denominator seemed to be the unwritten silent rules that usually develop in the immediate family and set the pace for relationships. These rules prohibit discussion about problems, open expression of feelings, direct, honest communication, realistic expectations. Example, we're all human, vulnerable, and imperfect. Selfishness, trust in other people and one's self, playing and having fun, and rocking the delicately balanced family canoe through growth or change, however healthy and beneficial that movement might be. These rules are common to alcoholic family systems, but can emerge in other families too. Talking to trees today. Thank you so much for the super chat. Okay, now I return to an earlier question. Which definition of codependency is accurate? They all are. Some describe the cause, some the effects, some the overall condition, some the symptoms, some the patterns, and some the pain. Codependency either meant or has come to mean all of the definitions listed earlier. I'm not trying to confuse you. Codependency has a fuzzy definition because it's a gray, fuzzy condition. It's a complex, theoretical, and difficult to define in 1 or 2 sentences. Can I just say I just felt so validated because I feel like I have been trying to describe codependency in some of the readings, and I think this is maybe why I feel, because I'm a codependent, right? And I'm trying to help people, and I feel frustrated about my limitations in being able to do that. But it's just saying, well, I'm not trying to confuse you. It's fuzzy because it's a fuzzy condition, Anyways, just throwing that out there. It's complex, theoretical, and difficult to define in 1 or 2 sentences. Why all this fuss about a definition? Because I'm going to attempt the difficult. I'm going to try and define codependent in 1 sentence. And I want you to, oh my gosh, I'm literally getting goosebumps right now because this was what I was talking about in one of the piles with the Page of Cups. Like, remember I said like the 1 or 2 sentences, but if you had been through it, you would just understand like the 1 or 2 sentences. She just walked us. Whoa. Okay. I'm going to try to define codependent in 1 sentence, and I want you to see the broader picture before I show you the narrower one. I hope this approach might help you identify codependency in yourself, that if that identification is appropriate. Defining the problem is important because it helps determine the solution. Here, the solution is vital. It means feeling better. It means recovery. So here is my definition of a codependent. A codependent person is one who has let another person's behavior affect them and who is obsessed with controlling that other person's behavior. The other person might be a child, an adult, a lover, a spouse, a brother, a sister, a grandparent, a parent, a client, or a best friend. They could be an alcoholic, an addict, a person with mental or physical disabilities, a person who occasionally has sad feelings, or anyone else. But the heart of the definition and recovery lies not in the other person, no matter how much we believe it. It lies in ourselves, in the way we have let other people's behaviors affect us, and in the ways we try to affect them. The controlling, the obsessive, helping, caretaking, low self-worth, bordering on self-hatred, self-repression, an abundance of anger and guilt, a peculiar dependency on peculiar people, an attraction to and tolerance for the bizarre, other-centeredness that results in abandonment of self, communication problems, intimacy problems, and an ongoing whirlwind trip through the 5 stages of grief process. Is this not what we talk about here? Like, oh my God. Is codependency an illness? Some professionals say it isn't a disease. It's a normal reaction to abnormal people. Other professionals say codependency is a disease. It's a chronic progressive illness. They suggest codependents want and need sick people around them to be happy in an unhealthy way. They say, for instance, the wife of an alcoholic needed to marry an alcoholic and chose him because she unconsciously thought he was an alcoholic. Furthermore, she needed him drinking and creating need and chaos in her life to feel fulfilled. This latter judgment may be overly harsh. I'm convinced codependents need less harshness in their lives. Other people have been hard enough on us. We have been hard enough on ourselves. Friends, we have suffered enough. We have been victimized by diseases and people. Each of us must decide what part we played in our own victimization. I don't know if codependency is or isn't an illness. I'm not an expert. I'm a writer with a passionate personal and professional interest in codependency. But to tell you what I believe, let me complete the brief history of codependency that I started earlier in this chapter. Although the first Al-Anon groups appeared in the 1940s, I'm certain we could go back to the beginning of time and human relationships and find glimmers of codependent behavior. People have always had problems, and others have always cared for their troubled friends and relatives. People have likely been caught up with problems of others since relationships began. Codependency probably trailed humans, and they struggled through the remaining BCE years right up to these generally wretched times of the 20th century, as Morley Safer of 60 Minutes has been quoted to say, and beyond. Ever since people first existed, they have been doing all the things we label codependent. They have worried themselves sick about other people. They have tried to help in ways that didn't help. They have said yes when they meant no. They have tried to make other people see things their way. They have bent over backwards to avoid hurting people's feelings, and in so doing have hurt themselves. They have been afraid to trust their feelings, and they have believed lies and then felt betrayed. They have wanted to get even and punish others. They have felt so angry they wanted to end people. They have struggled for their own rights while other people said they didn't have any. They have worn sackcloth because they didn't believe they deserved silk. Codependents have undoubtedly done good deeds too. By nature, they are benevolent, concerned about and responsive to the needs of the world. As Thomas Wright wrote in Codependency, an Emerging Issue. I suspect codependents have historically attacked social injustice and fought for the rights of the underdog. Codependents want to help. I suspect they have helped, but they probably died thinking they didn't do enough and they were feeling guilty. It is natural to want to protect and help people we care about. It's also natural to be affected by and react to the problems of the people around us. As a problem becomes more serious and remains unresolved, we become more affected and react more intensely to it. The word react is important here. However you approach codependency, however you define it, and from whatever frame of reference you choose to diagnose and treat it, codependency is primarily a reactionary process. Codependents are reactionaries. They overreact, they underreact, but rarely do they act. I have goosebumps. Pile number 2, we were saying this isn't about speaking, it's about action, right? I'm going to read this again. Codependents are reactionaries. They overreact, they underreact, but rarely do they act. They react to the problems, pains, lives, and behaviors of others. They relate to their own problems, pains, and behaviors. Or they react to their own problems, pains, and behaviors. Many codependent reactions are reactions to the stress and trauma of living or growing up with alcoholism and other problems. It's normal to react to stress, but it's heroic and life-saving to learn how not to react and how to act in healthier ways. Most of us, however, need help to learn to do that. Perhaps one reason some professionals call codependency a disease is because many who struggle with it are reacting to an illness such as alcoholism. Another reason codependency is called a disease is because it's progressive. As the people around us become sicker, we may begin to react more intensely. What began as little concern may trigger isolation, depression, emotional or physical illness, or suicidal ideations. One thing leads to another, and things get worse. Codependency may not be an illness, but it can make you sick, and it can help the people around you stay sick. Another reason codependency is called a disease is because its codependent behaviors, like many self-destructive behaviors, become habitual. We repeat habits without thinking. Habits take on a life of their own. Whatever problem the other person has, codependency involves a habitual system of thinking, feeling, and behaving towards ourselves and others that can cause us pain. Codependent behaviors or habits are self-destructive. We frequently react to people who are destroying themselves. We react by learning to destroy ourselves. These habits can lead us into or keep us in destructive relationships that don't work. These behaviors can sabotage relationships that may have otherwise worked. These behaviors can prevent you from finding peace and happiness with the most important person in your life, yourself. These behaviors belong to no one other than ourselves. They are our problems. In the next chapter, we will examine these behaviors. So, activity number 1, which definition of codependency resonated with you? And number 2, do you know anybody who has significantly affected your life? Someone who you worry about and wish you could change? Who? Write several paragraphs about that person and your relationship. Afterward, read what you wrote. What feelings did you express? And what feelings did you fail to express? Wow. Oh my gosh. I have goosebumps. That was crazy. Okay. Yeah. Hence the fog. Nice. Grief for me is sneaky. It seems processed and then another wave comes, even if it's years later. Well, and if you're codependent and if you think about it, and if you've been repeating these patterns and every time you get out of a relationship with a troubled person, you just replace it with a relationship with another troubled person because we seem to be deriving our sense of self from rescuer, victim, persecutor, right? So we derive a sense of self and also a sense of, like having something to do, purpose. That's what that is. A sense of purpose from that. That's an unhealthy way of going about that. And really, we're talking about Aries energy. Aries is a sense of self. Like we need to develop that sense of self. And Aries is ruled by Mars, right? That sense of action. I react to my world and I influence my world. I don't just react to it. But when we don't do that, then that's Libran energy. And the Libran energy is like very out of balance. But the problem comes in, I think, this is what I'm taking away from it. When we try to develop that sense of self through our relationships. I get a sense of self by my relating and reacting to other people because I don't seem to have a sense of self outside of, well, it's not that I don't have a self, but it's like, I say, oh, well, I'm a person who helps. Well, helping is reactionary, because there was some kind of like, it's not like, I don't know, you wouldn't say like, I proactively make sure people don't need help, or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, it's all like very reactionary. And that stuck out to me the first time I read this book too. Like, oh my gosh, yeah, like we're reactionaries. We just react to everything. And that was really what I think Spirit was trying to say in pile number 2. And I was stumbling around because it's so fuzzy and it's so hard to kind of get to, where Spirit was saying, if somebody is speaking to you or like trying to explain something, then you're defining yourself in relationship to somebody who is helping you or who you're helping. And that puts you in a position where you can react. So the pile number 2 person was saying, look, I feel like it was actually Spirit. There could have been another person there too, but Spirit was saying, I don't want to say anything because I don't want you to react to it, because reacting to it feeds the cycle. I want you to act. I want you to be the fool in the nest, that little bird that tries to fly out of the nest because you have wings and you're meant to fly. And so it could be that there's like not just a codependent relationship, because again, like if you are codependent and you get out of one troublesome relationship and you don't fix the root of it, like which is your codependency, and it's just like being an addict, right? You're addicted to, troublesome people or like dramatic, erratic, up and down kind of people. If you don't get to the bottom of it, you're just going to go find like another troublesome person. So it's not like leaving the nest of like leaving this one relationship. This is exactly pile number 2 and what Spirit was trying to say that I sucked at. But yeah, so it's not about leaving that one relationship. It's because you're just going to go into another one. It's about leaving the pattern of codependency altogether and all of the people that you could get in relationships with out of like your codependency pattern. And you're meant to step into that Aries energy of being yourself and acting and not reacting, and acting and not just being like a receptacle or like always having to help or always having to define yourself. Like, I wait for you to move and then I define myself by that. Also, that's safety because if somebody else is always the actor and you're always responding to that, it's sort of a sneaky way where we can divorce ourselves from the consequences of our own action. Like, oh, well, I was just trying to help. That person took the action, and Spirit's like, at least they took an action, like that's what we want to get you more to do, is like to take an I didn't cause it. Like, I was just responding. I mean, they started this like weird pattern, and every wrong thing that I did, I just did because I was trying to help them. And maybe I didn't do it the best, or maybe I didn't do this. And see how it kind of creates a little like shell around ourselves. And again, I'm a codependent too. I only know this because of my own experience. And that's what I was trying to say in pile number 2 too. It's like, I hate that sometimes I come across like I have the answers or something. Even if I have a mental answer, I'm still stuck in an addictive pattern. So, and I will be for my whole life, probably. All of us will be. And we're all just trying to figure it out together. But it leads to like a lot of like misunderstandings. Yeah, it's utterly destabilizing. Overthinking is an instant overwhelm. The cure is inside the self. Amen. As we heal, fam. Yes. And on that note, amen as we heal, fam, because maybe we should figure out how to become like what was it? Al-Anon group or something. I'm going to look into that. Oh, I love you too. Okay. Now I feel better. Actually, now I feel better because, oh my gosh, okay, like goodbye to those of you that are like, I don't want to listen to this lady ramble anymore. But I'm realizing like, that's why I felt bad in pile number 2, because my own codependency was flared up and I was like, I'm not helping people. Like, and I started to get frustrated and I wanted to make people understand me, but like, I knew I could feel the limitations of my words, but what I couldn't do was remove myself from the situation, And that's what, Deal, who was like kind of triggered me with something that he was saying, like, oh my gosh, like this has gone on forever. But it's like the one thing I couldn't do was just like remove myself, because it's like, well, I felt like I wasn't being clear. And so to me, it's like, well, I have to stay in it because I'm helping, but it's like, maybe it's not helping. And that was the whole point. And it's pile number 2 started off that way, where it's like, the whole point is like not to say so much, because Spirit's like, we're trying to get this person to take an action, and so don't explain so much. So if we say don't explain so much, then don't explain so much, and just like allow it to be open-ended. Oh my gosh, Spirit's talking to me directly right now and just saying like, Spirit is like, Jessica, if I'm giving a message through you and I'm saying, I want them in Virgo energy and I want them examining their own patterns, and I want them in Scorpio energy and I want them to go deep. And I'm saying, I don't want to explain it. If I keep trying to explain it, then they're still engaged, like listening to me, instead of like, if I'm just like, and that's it. And I can't just allow people to be confused, because I feel like I failed as like a helper in that if people walk away confused, I feel like I walked away. And Spirit's saying it's okay. People are supposed to be confused because there's a pattern here that's inherently confusing and fuzzy and hard to understand. And the only way to kind of go through it is to like actually live it. So if I could cut it off like a lot sooner, and even if people want to blame me, because codependence, we tend to do that, right? It's this hot potato of like, whose fault is it? It's not my fault. Okay. Because the fact that I don't understand, the one thing I want to make absolutely fucking clear. Oh my gosh. And this came through in our Patreon live stream last week, because I've been sort of like, oh my gosh, this just like unlocked a floodgate for me, because I feel like I've been working on this in the background, because I said that in the Patreon reading last week, where I was like, the one thing that I want to make absolutely clear is that this is not my fault. Okay. And it's like the same thing in pile number 2 is like, I'm trying to help here. This is not my fault, but I'm not helping. I'm a codependent. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Thank you for hearing me. Thank you for witnessing my human experience. So, and I just want to say that I'm sorry, like, because yeah, again, like I was thinking that I was helping by trying to explain it, and then I was frustrated by the limitations of everything. And then it's just like, so I'm sorry. Thank you for helping me. Those of you who did this time around, Deal, and the person who started this whole thing by oh my God, I just saw that meme. That Matt Damon meme where he's like, I would just like to thank everyone for triggering me so that I had a chance to grow. No, I definitely did get triggered, but that's a part of my own process, and I'm supposed to act and not react. Oh my gosh. Downloads. Spirit being like, that's the whole message. Pile number 2 was just reading chapter 2 and 3 from Codependent No More. I wish we could have just done that. Oh well, we all learned something, especially me. Okay, so that's what I have for you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Okay, I already mentioned that the non-romance reading on Patreon is coming out not this week, even though it's supposed to. Tomorrow, if you're on Patreon, the reading that's gonna go live is from the vault. So there still will be a reading, but and then I'll do the one that we voted on, the non-romance, the Evil Eye one. And that'll come out the week after. And I apologize for any inconvenience that this may have caused. Okay, we got there in the end. Thank you guys for being my people, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye, guys.